There is no rebuild. We're not going back. I burnt the boats. We press forward. This is your group. You're going to die on this, hill, like right here. Mm-hmm. Attack only. I'm blowing the whistle. We're all coming out of the trenches. Have I done enough military analogies?
One more,
which are completely
throw one more in there.
Farcical.
Oh, okay.
For the realities of what sports is, but it does make the point fairly well. Unless you were given those instructions, the Job Preservation Society would say, move some major pieces and talk about 28 because you at least buy yourself through 27. I would tell you that I would send my general manager out if I were John Sherman with the idea of make me a better team every time. I'll be patient. I'll wait. But always make me a better team on every deal, and I don't care how far down it is, and eventually the talent will come to the big leagues and we'll be a better club. But I think that's one that you need to start with those marching orders from day one, and you cannot waver from them. I think that's the way the Milwaukee Brewers are doing things. I think they're the most successful organization in baseball as far as getting the most bang for their buck for what they do, and I think that's how they go about doing it. So far, I have no problems with any of the deals that the Kansas City Royals have made. They're getting arms. They're getting arms that are close to the big leagues. They've been pretty good at that as long as these guys don't break down, which has become an epidemic as Luinder Avila has been added to the list of Royals pitchers that are sitting on the DL. So I'd like to see
forearm tightness.
Yeah, I'd like to see some arms brought in that can stay healthy for a little bit. I think we are. We're clearly with Avila going down. We are absolutely questioning what's going on with the pitching staff. Now, this happens a lot with the Rays, and it's like, listen, we're going to weaponize the pitchers. We're not worried about injuries. Pitchers are going to get hurt, and if we sit around trying to keep them healthy, then they're not going to be effective. We're going full bore. And, Jim, I see you want to talk Chiefs. We'll always talk Chiefs, Royals, Sporting, K-State, Missouri, KU, always a topic here in the program, 913-3810810. You can grab a phone line if you would like. You can hit me up on the Twitter, at SorenPetro, SorenPetro. We'd love to hear from you here today. But opening with the trade deadline with the Royals and Chris Bubich going for, what's the kid's first name? Duran, I know is the last name. Carlos Duran.
25-year-old, 6'7", 230-pound pitcher, used primarily in relief this year at AAA Oklahoma City.
So they're at least getting a guy that's big.
Yeah. Has strikeout stuff, 13 per 9. This is minor leagues. Pretty high walk rate, though, and that didn't help the whip. But a 3.38 ERA, 61 Ks and 42 2/3, but 28 walks.
Yeah. He's 25 now. Just turned 25 on July 30th.
A few days ago.
So, look, barely a cup of coffee at the big league level, but a lot of time spent at AAA over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So, 2 years ago at AAA, in 25, he 58 in the third innings, 50 hits, 34 earned, 2 homers, 59 strikeouts, so, pretty much a K, 9 Ks per 9. 51 walks!
That's a problem.
This year, 42 2/3 at AAA, 33 hits. He struck out 61. That's like you said, a hefty strikeout total. He's gotten better with the walks, but still 28 in 42 2/3. So, control is an issue for the young man, and we'll see if they can give him that control. But they get a live arm. They get an arm that's near the big leagues. I'm going to assume I'm trying to find something that gives velocity. You see anything on where he's at? I'm assuming at 6'7", there's going to be some power with what he's delivering there. I do always love it when you read when it says I'll go to some of the fantasy pages sometimes because I'll have a quick breakdown and all the numbers all in one place. There was no outlook written for Carlos Duran in 26. Check out the latest news.
Yay.
Chris Bubich wasn't going to be back, and Chris Bubich wasn't pitching. So
why not?
Getting a live arm, which I'm assuming this guy is with those strikeouts, he's got something. He's at least, wildly effective. in it. Throw it in with a couple of more arms that they got. One of them a second rounder out of Vanderbilt that's coming off Tommy John surgery, and another one that appears to be almost major league ready. They are clearly making deals based upon competing in 27. Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
They haven't moved anyone with team control, and they're getting back at least parts of the trades that are dealing with guys at the big league level. So they're sticking to their mantra, and I would say that what they're setting themselves up for is a 27 where they have to be above 500. I think, to me, we're going to get to the end of year 4 on September 22nd of this year. We'll be at the end of year 5 as next year's wrapping up. You'll be in a position. It doesn't mean that the system should have yielded tons of guys that they're all leaning on. They've already got Jack Caglione that's part of this regime. But it will mean that, the system should have guys at the top end that are getting ready to help in 28. Like at that point, you should see Kendrick Churio, if he's not already up, should be about ready to be up. David Shields should be not far behind. Lampkin should be, coming right behind, if not already in front of there. You should start seeing some pieces. You should see some of the international signings that are now making their way into low A ball, and there should be some talent in those spots. And you should see a big league club that if you're making decisions right now based upon being competitive in 27, then you should see a competitive club in 27. Because if it's like, well, yeah, we only won 72 games, and, we're still waiting on these guys, well, then why? Why did you make moves to get lesser talent? You can always get higher-end talent. It's more combustible, but you can always get higher-end talent if you go lower in the system.
Yep. You're laying down a marker if you say we're going to compete in 2026.
Yeah, and they didn't do it.
By the way, I'm looking at some numbers. This is from Baseball America. 4-seam fastball sits around 97, featuring heavy sink and high whiff rates. 2-seam fastball / sinker sets between 93 and 96, topping out at 98 with significant arm side run.
And do we have any reason why he can't throw it for strikes?
Just a quick rundown. Baseball America just has some bullet points. So
we'll see where it goes from here. But so far the Royals have matched up with what J.J. Picollo said they would be. They have not moved Michael Wacha. And one other thing, because I know we do want to talk some Chiefs, and we've got some Royals and Chiefs that are up on the board, and we'll talk both of them with you, 913-3-810-810. The other thing I want to say is if you are going for 27, Joe Adell went for a 2024 second-round catcher to the Cleveland Guardians. Now, Joe Adell is having a sub-700 OPS, but last year he had a near 800 OPS at 26 years old. He's 27 this year. And if you're going to make that kind of move, I'd like to get him signed. The idea is not Joe Adell, who hit 37 home runs last year, right, and was a candidate to be traded this past offseason. Has not hit well this year. If you're not acquiring guys like that, he has excellent bat speed. His bat speed is very high, and so it seems like you've got a lot of tools there. A 37 home run hitting big leaguer that has bat speed. It wasn't like just a coincidence that the ball went over the wall. If you really believe in your hitting instructors, you'd go get that guy and you'd fix him because it's a discounted price. But even more so, if they were in the market for catching, the deal, and I'll give credit to our buddy David Lesky because he's the one that pointed me in this direction as I was chatting with him this morning about what we're going to do on our Kaufman Corner podcast tonight after the deadline. And he said, I don't even mind the Adell. He goes, I don't even like Adell. He said, but if they're going to move Jose Soriano, they clearly wanted catching. Why weren't you, if you're in it for 27, why weren't you floating Blake Mitchell out there to go get Jose Soriano, a swing and miss starting pitcher, a guy who's averaging more than 9 Ks per 9 in the rotation, an ERA below 4, and the Blue Jays acquired him. Why aren't you pumping prospects to go get him? If the plan is to compete in 27, then go get help for 27. We've been saying this for a week or two. You really started pounding that drum first, Curtis, about, well, okay, fine, I'll listen to that you're not going to deal Wacha, then go get things that will help.
Yeah.
And this, to me, I don't think, now, I am going to give mad props to J.J. Picollo and his front office. If next year They win 89 games. They're a wild card. They win a playoff series, or they even win the division at 89 games, and they do it with guys that they've acquired that were quote-unquote big league ready, and they haven't given up any of their prospects, and the system is stocked, and I will give mad props to them. Okay? I won't give mad props to them for going 80 and 82, though. The goal is to play winning baseball. The goal is to be competitive year after year after year. Right, but when the opportunity presents itself, I'm not even big. I know the Ben Zobrist and Johnny Cueto deal worked out, but I think that's more luck than anything. Johnny Cueto sucked all the times except for 3 critical games, and if you think he just decided, well, I'm going to do it now, like I can't. I know we all hated it, and I was president of the hating those people that kept calling the Royals lucky. But man, as we look back on it. The Ben Zobrist deal was a home run, but Cueto, you talk about threading a needle, because he sucked all the time, except for these 3 games that were critical. So looking back and being, yeah, look at those deals, they were great. I mean, I'd almost just hold, if you're a playoff team, hold your water, keep your talent, and keep being good year after year, and eventually you're going to line up with the playoff series when it all goes your way. But I will give mad props if they're a contender next year. It looks like they're too far away, although when I go back and look at all the ninth inning blown games, if they could clean up 90% of those, the record looks different, and they're in the mix, and then maybe they are going to get a Soriano. Maybe they are then firing the prospects, and now they're just holding on to what they've got. Blake Mitchell is hitting of late, not just walking, but hitting. Again, David Lesky gave me a stat, I think since July 1, so about a month a ball, he's hitting .321. So the batting average, that's been the thing, is he's been like a sub 200 or right over 200.
One of the weirdest slash lines you've ever seen.
But with power and lots of on base. And now he seems to be, maybe turning the corner, which you're going to have 2 left-handed hitting catchers? I don't think so. So I think somebody's going at some point, or somebody's going to a different position. And we know it's not first base, so I can't wait to see what Blake Mitchell can play or what Carter Jensen can play. And it doesn't seem like you're convinced of either one of those things being true, or you would have already moved one of them because you still have Salvador Perez. But anyway, if it all comes together, I'm going to give mad props. And everybody else should. But I'm concerned. I think in small market baseball, you're either playing for now or you're playing for the future. And I think if you get really good, if you stock your system like the Milwaukee Brewers, you can play for the future while winning now. You can at least trade for the future while winning now. You can build a team that's so strong that you can give up a good player and still have a core that's strong enough to push on into the playoffs. And that's what they've done in trading Josh Hader in the midst of a playoff run. That's what they did this year in trading Freddie Peralta to the Mets in the offseason. They have moved big league talent for more minor league talent because they have stocked their system and they believe in their development so much that they can shed talent for future talent and just keep feeding the machine. And that's the dream. That's where you want to be.
But you have to get that up and running, and I don't think you do it by playing for next year.
Yeah. So, was there a market for Michael Wacha? No, I'd rather have Soriano than Wacha. Peralta's the interesting one. Peralta going to the Rays. He's having a bad year with the Mets. It seems like he got away from the Milwaukee brain trust, and he's going back to being the guy who kind of sucked for a number of years in Milwaukee before the current regime took hold. But he's only making about $3 million, for the season, so there's only about $1 million left to pay him. Michael Wacha, you're going to be paying $5 or $6 million, so you can see where the Rays are like, listen, we'll fix his pitching, and he's cheap. There was only one top 200 prospect, I think, in that deal for Peralta. And so there wouldn't have been I don't think that deal was good enough for Michael Wacha. And I don't know that the Rays were willing to pay, but I think Peralta's the first pitcher that you can go, that guy's not as good as Wacha, and he got acquired. Could we have wedged Michael Wacha in there? And I think you could have, but I don't think you'd have done it for what they got. I'll have to hear more about I only looked at 3 guys against a fantasy prospect ranking list that goes 300 deep, and only one of them made the top 300. So, for me, I will give J.J. Piccolo credit in the sense that Michael Wacha, you basically have 2 years of club control, and I can see a case to be made that there has not been a credible offer for him, right? But I don't know. Could Michael Wacha plus Daniel Lynch get you a big haul of prospects? I would think it would. I would think it would. But I don't know. I don't know that they're willing to do that. They have a plan. They're sticking to it. We'll see if it works. 913-3810810. This weekend, mass hysteria, panic, went to a dance team event at my daughter's high school because apparently there's a sport that it goes on for 11 months of the year. It's called dance team. So if you know someone who's on dance team, they get up in the summer and go to practice at 6 a.m. and they practice all summer and they get like 3 weeks in like April where it's not their season. Then they start the next year in May. God bless them.
All that
so just mad props for all you young ladies and young men, if you are, that are on dance team. Mad props to all you.
Got to get ready for Miss Kansas and K-Spec in the winter.
The
big
states
shows.
and there's nationals
big old
and
shows, yep.
yes. So proud dance team dad here. But I will tell you that at the event, mass hysteria of fathers looking at phones. Did you see? Cyrus Allen's done for the year. And Worthy's lost an arm.
And God, Worthy's dead.
It's like they took him off on a cart. It's not a good sign.
Had him covered up with a sheet. It's unreal.
And like 45 minutes later, we find out that Cyrus Allen has a bone bruise, which is a little scary because I think that's what they call Travis Kelce's microfracture. Surgery was a bone bruise initially. So I'm still not, when he practices, I'll be like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
And Xavier Worthy is never going to be healthy. You just don't draft 160-pound wide receivers in the first round. Take a flyer in 5 or 6, knowing he's going to be a role player. Okay, but this is really, we're getting to the point that you can't even, the pads aren't even on when this goes down. He's run into his own guy. That took him out for several weeks.
Hurt
and then,
so bad that he said he was never going to be healthy until he had the surgery.
So he had surgery, and now he's had the surgery, and he was in the yellow jersey all the way through OTAs and minicamp, and they're not even in pads, and he's got a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Okay?
Starting to see a pattern here.
But when the mass hysteria hits because the 5th-round pick was covering some kicks, and we're questioning, what the hell are they doing? What are they doing out here? I think we can see that we have serious concerns about the wide receiver position.
Right.
Serious concerns.
And I understand, but it was, I think what caused people such a reaction was that it came on it's the thing you mentioned, the wide receiver room, but it came on the heels of, gosh, all these clips of him making back shoulder catches and so, and about him being the new Camp Darling, and maybe there's something in this. Oh, he's hurt? Crap. I think it was just the two things back to back. Wait a minute. We can't have nice things.
I will say this. I said it on Sunday Sound Off with Mick Schaefer last night, and Matt Derrick was on as well. We'll talk to Matt Derrick coming up here in the 11 o'clock, or it's 11 o'clock, in the 3 o'clock hour. Old habits die hard, really hard.
It's only been 7 years.
Hour number 2 in the 11. In the 3 o'clock hour, we'll talk to Matt Derrick. But, one of the questions last night was about Camp Darlings, and Cyrus Allen's name was mentioned, I think, by Leabo, and Matt Derrick said, yes, Cyrus Allen and Khalil Benson, the right tackle from Indiana that was undrafted. And I said, well, I'll echo those sentiments. I said, I think it's interesting to note what are the two positions. First of all, it's rarely defense. Because let's be honest, we look at defense and we don't know what's going on. So we're not really sure who blew a coverage or whatever. We're more likely to be like, that guy seems to be 3 yards behind the guy catching the long ball all the time. He sucks.
Yeah.
We're more likely to land on who's not making the team than we are like who's really flying around making plays.
And also when you get that, when it's friendly fire type of situation, oh man, fantastic. So-and-so beat so-and-so for a long touchdown pass. How great is he? Wait a minute. How bad is the guy?
No, we cheer for the offensive big plays. Nobody ever goes, boo, the defense sucked. No, that was a great play on offense.
He was in the right spot. He just got beat.
But I will point out, I would temper the enthusiasm just a little bit because every year this is it. Wherever you think the weakness is, there's somebody who looks like they could fill it. And wide receiver's been a weakness since Tyreek Hill. And every year we see a wide receiver that we think could be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Justin Ross, whether it was, who was the...
Kelvin Benjamin.
Well, no, but even the guys that we start talking like they're flashing in camp.
Last year.
Like there was Marset
Amir Smith Marset.
Yeah, he had his 5 minutes, and
who was the Jason Brownlee?
Jason Brownlee, there you go.
Somebody else was the Mr. Back Shoulder Throw.
Yeah, we find a wideout, and usually it's an undrafted guy. What makes Cyrus Allen different is they did invest a 5th-round draft pick in him, so they did think more of him than they have others in the past. But yeah, it's been. It's not a coincidence that we're not sure about Jalen Moore, and so Khalil Benson looks good. It's not a coincidence that we're not sure about all the wideouts, so Cyrus Allen looks good. I'm not saying that these guys won't end up winning jobs, that they won't end up being effective players. We might talk about what we think the upside is for Cyrus Allen. You've heard my name, Curtis. We landed on the same guy, Albert Wilson, being the kind of guy that he kind of looks like. Part of that's just OBB. A similar size.
Yeah.
But I think it does just really magnify the fact that we are terrified about the wide receiver position.
For sure.
Because I think all you have to do is look at Twitter and see. And the hellfire and brimstone of media people that are, at their heart, Chiefs fans, covering the team, trying to be unbiased, but you could see the fandom. Like, I put myself in that group. You could see the fandom like, well, I don't know if we should be having him cover kicks. He's a 5th-round pick. I mean, he needs to be able to play special teams. And how many wideouts? Because you want Xavier Worthy running down and covering kicks?
Yeah.
And if you're like, well, I'd rather him get hurt than Cyrus Allen. Cyrus Allen's a way better wideout. Well, he will get hurt.
Yes.
And then it will be Cyrus Allen right after that. So you can't have all your wide receivers not able to do anything on special teams.
Another thing I would caution people about is, and it's been said, almost every person that's received a pass that maybe wasn't expected to. Pat has confidence in him. He could throw that ball to him. He might, but
it's also rookie camp.
Yeah.
There's only rookies to throw to.
And camp, as we've talked about before, that's when you take the chances.
Yeah.
You're going to throw that ball to Cyrus Allen because you want to see if he can catch it, not necessarily that you trust him. You're trying to build that trust in the regular season by what he can do in camp. So the idea that I trust this guy to throw a pass to that he hasn't ever thrown to him before. He trusts him. He's seeing what he can do. So maybe ease off on the accelerator on that part.
913-810-810, the phone number 913-810-810. We'll take your phone calls next. You're in the program.
Curtis Seabolt.
Smelled walking in, I will smell walking out.
On the program, weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, listen up. We had some beautiful weather over the weekend and kind of going into the weekend where it was just fantastic outside. I got out Friday night and enjoyed my screened-in porch. I could do that because All Weather Decks built us a fantastic outdoor living space. Whether it's a deck, a patio, a screened-in porch, All Weather Decks is a 24-time winner of the Angie Super Service Award. They probably help one of your neighbors. You can go right there to allweatherdecks.net. Check out the map link, Pin Drops, where they've done hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs all over the metro and even beyond. Call today at 913-206-1974. Tell them you heard it right here on 810. Tell them Petro sent you. Tell them you want a great outdoor living space, just like All Weather Decks built for me for more than 15 years. Locally owned and operating, this is what they do. They're only about 6 or 7 weeks away from starting your project. Why 6 or 7 weeks? They'd do it faster, but you got to have the permits. So once they got the permits in hand, they're ready to go. Multiple crews working all over the metro. So if you're like, it's a little bit late, I think I'm going to wait. No, it's not late. All Weather Decks can get started on your project. Like I said, in 6 or 7 weeks they're starting. You still have beautiful fall weather to enjoy when they're done with the project. So don't wait. Call right now. Call 913-206-1974 or go online to allweatherdecks.net. Schedule a free consultation. Take a look at photos of finished projects. You can even get an estimate started online at allweatherdecks.net. They're Kansas City's best for more than 15 years. It's All Weather Decks. Online at allweatherdecks.net and relax.
When America needs power, Wholesale Batteries delivers. Nationwide shipping, premium brands, unmatched expertise. We keep America running. Wholesale Batteries, your power partner since 1977. Any battery, anytime, delivered anywhere at wholesalebatteries.net.
Elevate every meeting, classroom, and boardroom with ImageNet Consulting's AV solutions. LED walls, smart boards, full conferencing systems. Make your message land. ImageNet.com.
The new steak and cheese melt is here at Firehouse Subs, made with flame-seared prime rib, loaded with caramelized onions and peppers, topped with melty provolone, and toasted twice for that perfect cheese pull. It's a trusted favorite, elevated Firehouse Subs style. Grab the new steak and cheese melt today only at Firehouse Subs, with 11 Kansas City locations ready to serve you. Order now at firehousesubs.com at participating U.S. restaurants.
Get ready for a new NFL season with the best coverage of Chiefs training camp. Right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
He looks pretty good. Obviously, Pat's one of the hardest workers on the team. He's worked so hard to get back from that knee, and obviously he's a leader on the team, and he wants to show guys that he's all in, so we're all in with him.
Kansas City's radio home of the NFL playoffs, and Super Bowl 61. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I love a girls' weekend, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take
You're in the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Soren Petro, Curtis Siebel, Kyle Collier with you as we talk a little bit of Chiefs football, a little bit of Royals baseball, whatever is on your mind. 913-3810810. If you're just getting into your car, Chris Bubich has been dealt to the Dodgers. They get a AAA right-hander, 6'7", fastball up at 97 miles per hour, control problems, but does have big stuff. That's the latest move from the Royals. We'll let you know if anything else happens. Let's get things started on the phones. We start with Jim. You're in the program. Jim, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call.
You bet.
I'm going to be a little random today, 2 points that aren't related, but I'll just fire and you guys can run where you want. How about that?
Sounds good.
I think some of the expectations that I'm hearing for Kenneth Walker, I don't like them. I don't think they're realistic. He is not a big guy. He has been dinged up in each of his first 4 years. His attempts in his first year, 228, second year, 229, third year, 153, only played 11 games in 2024. And then last year, 221 attempts from scrimmage. Last year, going into the 16th game of the year, it was basically a 50-50 split with him and Charbonnet. Then Charbonnet, the other running back in Seattle last year.
Right.
Then Charbonnet got hurt, missed, I think, 16 and 17 and 18, those weeks anyway. And Walker went off. He's a fabulous talent. I am very excited to see him play. I called in a few months ago. I think they overpaid a little bit, but that's okay. And here's my point. It's not Kenneth Walker's fault that they had the single worst running back room in the league last year. He's not a 350-touch, 1,800-yard guy. I just don't think he is. And I'm going to end on the Chiefs talk on this. Go ahead, Trent.
Well, let me just say, I can't remember. There was a tweet out. There's a Twitter account like 20 years ago today. That just like tweets out things that were from 20 years ago today. And one of them was like the fantasy football rankings for 20 years ago today. And number one on the list was Larry Johnson, right? And that year, Larry Johnson delivered 1,700 yards rushing, 400 yards receiving. He rushed for 17 touchdowns. He caught for 3 more. He actually was beaten out by LaDainian Tomlinson, who had 1,800 yards rushing, like 28 touchdowns, like 3 or 4 receiving, and like 600 yards. Like LaDainian Tomlinson had one of the greatest years ever, but Larry Johnson was still very, very good. He touched the ball 416 times, just rushing it. Then 41 more catches, and he was never the same. So to your point, did they overpay a little bit? Yes, but they were desperate for running backs. I share the same view you did. I wish they'd have invested in running backs a year before, but I don't think you want him. You don't want to justify the contract. You want to use him the way he should be used, and that's what I like is that DeMarcado was acquired and Emmett Johnson was acquired so that if he can, rush it 225, 250, hopefully get 30, 40 catches, and you've got a running mate with him so that he's always fresh and healthy, because it's when you're tired that you get hurt, then I think that's just smart usage. What you don't want to do is overuse him just to justify giving him $14 million a year.
Completely agree, Seren. And I honestly believe this. I think between Johnson, DiMacario, and Kenneth Walker, they're going to have 3 running backs that are better than any of the ones they had last year. Because I just think, and we can, that's a whole nother discussion. The running back room, in my opinion, was the worst in the league. Other point, in 1980, and follow me here, in 1982, Robin Yount won the American League MVP as a shortstop. In 1989, he won the American League MVP as a center fielder. Bobby Witt has always reminded me of Robin Yount. Narrow shoulders, thin hips, 80s mullet, and they both kind of swing the same. This call isn't take him off shortstop right now, because if he can stay healthy at shortstop, that's his position forever. But it is a lot easier to stay healthy in baseball playing center field than it is at shortstop. There's historical precedent for this. And for anybody out there who thinks I'm crazy, how about this? I'll take Bobby Witt 160 games in center field as opposed to 120 at shortstop. Because isn't this 2 years in a row Bobby's dinged up?
Well, I don't remember him being dinged up last year.
Okay.
But I think your overall point is valid. I mean, listen, a lot of his value.
And have you heard anything about that, Srim?
No.
I'm going to run and let you guys
Okay,
finish.
I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. I have not. I have not heard anything about it. But I think there's validity to it. I mean, we've talked about it. A lot of this, everyone loves to quote his WAR. You want to know why they love quoting his WAR? Because his offensive numbers, compared to the offensive machines that are out there, are not that impressive. Right? He has not hit like he did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we thought there's a 40 home run season out there. Well, now we're wondering when he's going to hit 30 again. Okay? And so, I think, is he wearing himself down playing defense? And that's affecting his offense? Well, that's okay. That's okay as long as his offense continues to be way above average for shortstops. Yeah. But when the defense starts to wane, if you've got a better defensive player and you can put Bobby someplace that gives him a better chance, I don't understand why Mike Trout has run around center field for the Angels. Now, I don't think that's why he's been hurt. I think he's hurt because he takes a swing that the same thing as, I don't know how Arnold Palmer didn't kill himself, right? That was the big thing, is his swing was so violent he was going to get hurt. But there are guys like
Mike Sweeney was.
Yeah, Mike Sweeney had it, and he had the back injury.
Always had back
injuries. And Mike
injuries.
Trout, I think, finally succumbed to that. But Aaron Judge in center field, I don't get it. I mean, can you not develop somebody who can go get it and put those guys in right field or put them in left field? I mean, there's a reason why Barry Bonds played left field, especially early in his career. He was plenty fleet of foot to play center field. And they went, no. We'll put Van Slyke out there, and you go to left. And if you had a foot race or where they were going, Barry Bonds, and while he didn't have a big arm, part of the reason why he played left instead of right is because he didn't have a big arm. But he was accurate, and he had plenty of outfield assists from left field.
And you know what he did every year? He played 150 games.
And he raked.
By the way, Witt, in his previous 3 seasons, 158, 161, 157. So he only missed 10 games. So he didn't miss time last year. But maybe if it is the position, maybe it's the fact that he's only missed 10 games in 3 years is starting to catch up to his 26-year-old body. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. I think you should have that in the back of your head. Right now, while he's still a great defender, I would leave him at short. But do I think he should be 37 years old playing shortstop the way Derek Jeter was? Not on a small market team. If you can buy all kinds of talent around him, then you can be like, Jeter's our shortstop. Okay, well, you can pay for Robinson Cano at second base, and you can pay for, high-level talent everywhere where you just hit your way past your defensive limitations. But I don't think the Royals are ever going to be that kind of team. And that's one of the reasons why this whole idea of everything is about keeping Bobby Witt Jr. in a Royals uniform his entire career is bunk. The goal is to win games all the time, right? And not to keep Bobby Witt Jr. happy. Right, that's not the goal. Not to formulate a Hall of Fame induction ceremony with Bobby Witt Jr. wearing a Royals cap. That's not what this is about. See 9 years of crap baseball with Salvador Perez behind the dish. Could have traded him. Could have got something for him back in 2017. You didn't, and instead, great, Salvador Perez has been a Royal, and maybe he'll make the Hall of Fame. But you watched a lot of bad baseball that maybe could have helped. He could have helped turn around by trading him. 913-3-810-810. Marty, you're in the program. What's going on, Marty?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good, man. What's on your mind?
Real quick, seems like it's going to be another season of Pat will bail us out, or Pat will handle it. If you look a couple of years ago, I'm on your favorite website of Sport Track. Chris Jones has the highest cap hit at $45 million. Our right guard, third highest. Jalen Moore, who barely played. Christian Fulton, who barely played. A lot of money spent not wisely. I think that combined with our not knowing how to draft a wide receiver, Alice Sky Moore, Xavier Worthy, McCole Hardman, I think really has put us in a bind. I mean, I don't even know if we have any money to go out and sign Keenan Allen or Stephon Diggs or Tyler Lockett. I mean, they'd immediately become our second best wide receiver.
Really? Because all the other veteran wideouts they have gone out and gotten have gone over so well here? DeAndre Hopkins, Kelvin Benjamin, Josh Gordon. That's just been a success after a success. Those were all names everybody wanted. Hollywood Brown. Everybody wanted them, and they haven't done squat. They tend to be pretty good at, and they gave up minimal to get those players. And these guys are clearly still sitting out there because no one's offering them what it is they want.
I think our wide receiver room is especially bad this year.
I don't know about especially bad, but I don't disagree that it's a very scary room. But do you want Pat? Do you want Pat on your team?
Well, yeah.
Okay, well, so then you're always going to have a spot that looks like this. That's how it always looked for the Patriots.
But
that's how it will always look when you have a guy counting that much against your cap. You didn't mention his name. That's up at the top. I don't disagree, Marty, with the things that you've said about how much they've spent on some of those other positions. We've talked about that time and time again, especially when those contracts were signed. So I'm with you, but
won't even played. He's costing $13 million against the cap.
Who?
Christian Fulton. Has he even played?
Yeah, he played 8 games last year. He started down the stretch, and he played pretty well when he got in there. But he was a hurt player, and he makes $10 million a year, not $34 million a year, which is what the top corners go. That's why they got him for 33 cents on the dollar of what the top corners go for. He's not one of the top corners, but yeah, he started down the stretch, and he and Noel Williams played fairly well. Crush, you're in the program. What's going on, Crush?
Hey, before I start, I got 3 points. Could you say something nice to Doug Stewart for us? We miss him.
In fact, I should, because I was questioning him this morning about why the National League pickups had not been processed since he's the commissioner of our leagues.
He's still into sports, huh?
And it turns out, oh yeah, absolutely. And it turns out that it is not the commissioner, Doug Stewart's fault. It was CBS Sports. Showed Scooble is eligible, so we all spent all night trying to figure out how to clear cap room to pick up Scooble on our NL, and then they're like, nah, we're going to make him available next week. So screw you, CBS Sports.
Just make
Hello,
sure
Doug.
that he knows that we still care about him. If
I will tell him. I will absolutely tell him.
Okay. And now, bad news. We're going 72-90 next year. And there's 12 guys that I've got marked down that had us going from 83 to 92 this year, right? And Stan Weber, who anytime Stan Weber wants to talk, I'm going to sit down and listen, from banking to football, whatever. So he thought we were going to be a good ball club. Right?
I think we all did. I think we all thought that they'd had a good offseason. Oh, they have been absolutely decimated by injuries. It would be interesting to see what this team was when they were healthy. I think it is a very valuable and valid point to say that, hey, they were healthy to start the year and they weren't any good. They've actually played
even more interesting, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
What's even more interesting is that you mentioned the Brewers. They have 2 guys on the club from Kansas City.
Yeah.
Ashby and the Mets, who both went to Crowder. Ashby's Park Hill South, the Mets is Green Valley, both routed to Crowder, and here we go. So I don't think it might be all that difficult. You guys keep up the good work.
All right, I appreciate it, Crush. Thank you. 9133-810-810. I've had conversations about where Mizorowski was. I think there were some concerns about the body type, not just from the Royals. I mean, nobody took him in the first round. Now, he did get low first-round money. He was a signability mark. He clearly had a college. I don't remember which one it was, because the Brewers gave him well above slot money in the second round to get him signed. I will point out that there were like 3 other guys that got above slot money in the second round. One of the other ones is looking like he's going to be something. The other 2 are bombing. So, I think there's some question about how healthy he's going to be. There's no doubt he's a shooting star right now, and we'll see how long he can stay healthy. Jazzu Jay, you're on the program. What's up, Jay?
Hey, Sorrent, thanks for taking the call. I appreciate it. I've got a little shaky connection, but I just wanted to piggyback off your comments. It is frustrating as a Chiefs fan to see or read headlines about our one standout player in training camp getting hurt as a special teams gunner. With that, though, I would say you made a comment the other day. I don't remember if it was on Red Golden.
Can we? Is this next part going to be about Cyrus Allen, or are you moving on from Cyrus Allen? Because I want to back up. Are you really a training camp standout before the pads come on? Oh, I cut Jay off, and Jay's having phone problems. Jay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are you really a training camp standout before the pads come on?
I've got a shaky connection, Sorrent. I'm sorry.
All right, well, go ahead and just finish your point, and then I'll let you go.
Okay. I can. My point was, though, you said the Chiefs are due to hit on a fifth-round receiver. I tend to agree with you on that, but I would say that guys like, in no way am I calling Cyrus Allen the next Puka. Was it Nacua?
Mm-hmm.
But he was a fifth-rounder, and I did a little research before I came on the air.
Always a good idea.
Puka was not doing any special team stuff. In his 2023 rookie season, he took 7 snaps total, or 2% of the special team workload. And so I guess my point would be, and I offer this up to Dave Tobe and Andy Reid, sometimes it'd be nice to have some of these wide receivers when you're already thin there. Maybe they shouldn't have to go through work your way up through the special teams mentality. Sometimes a kindergartner can skip first grade and go to second grade based on some of their abilities, especially when you're already thin at that position. So again, it would just be nice to see that happen. And then lastly, I sent you that post from Matt Derrick, who I think you're going to have on later today. The guys that were taking the first team reps, like, those are some scary names. It's like Tyquan Thornton. I think it was someone named Armstrong, who I didn't even know who that was, let alone somebody on our team. And was it Thornton, Armstrong, and someone else. And so, again, this is a very concerning wide receiver core, and I'd hate to get cross with my once-in-a-generation franchise quarterback by not giving him some receivers. But anyway, Sorrent, I'll listen off the air. Thanks for taking the call.
All right, I appreciate it, Jay. Thank you. And the last part's a very important part. I'm with you. Like, you do not want to see Tom Brady situation here where he's like, that's it, I'm out. I'm going to Tampa where I got somebody to throw to. So I think that is a very important part of the equation and something the Chiefs need to make sure that they address. The 3 wideouts that Matt Derrick tweeted out about running first team were Jalen Royals, Tyquan Thornton, and Andrew Armstrong. And that's because obviously guys are down and or precautionarily watching. But the wide receivers, like, let's be clear. There's no, unless Cyrus Allen turns into Antonio Brown, Puka Nacua, it's going to be a question mark. Period. End of discussion. And we couldn't. I'm not saying we're not going to talk about it. We are. We're going to talk about it a lot. But I think it was – I think the bigger thing that we need to add into it is Mansour Delane not practicing full yet. And that's the guy you could have gone, albeit with a wide receiver with big injury questions. You could have gone that route. You could have traded up and taken the Arizona State kid. And they didn't. They went corner. And so – and they've got a lot invested in him. And I think that's one of the reasons why hopefully they're just being overly precautious. But, yes, we're going to be talking about the wide receivers all year. And, yes, at some point there's going to have to be a major investment in the wide receiver position. And that may be a trade-up for Julio Jones type of deal if they're going to be winning games and towards the back of the pack. It may be a trade for a disgruntled high-end wide receiver that you're going to have to pay a bunch of money. At some point, I think they are going to have to improve the targets that they have for their quarterback. We'll talk some more Chiefs football with Matt Derrick. He's going to join us in our next hour, 913-381-810-810, taking your calls about the Royals, about the Chiefs. 913-381-810. Let's go to Chuck, waiting patiently. You're on the program, Chuck. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, not a lot. I really appreciate you taking fan calls. It's awesome. Hey, real quick, I am really tired of the last 2 years of listening to how great that 24 season was and how we keep Matt, JJ. We're happy with them because of that season. We lost our way into the playoffs. That September record followed some really crappy losing stretches in August. And September was like 11-13 or 11.
Yeah, if you like,
that counts.
They also had a bunch of injuries that were going on at that point, and they were scrambling, making deals. Well, lots of teams don't. Not everybody it's not a mandatory 5 guys go down in September.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of teams that get healthy around that time.
The first 5 months count too. They got
in. They were a playoff team.
Okay, but they ride. We gave them the blanket last year. Look at the decisions. We frequently wind up frustrated with the dumb calls our manager makes, and we find ourselves
I don't
not trading people who need to be traded. We pick up guys who might help us at the deadline, either bring us a prospect, which I don't know. I just don't feel like when we pick people up, it's the Ben Zobrist type move.
Or maybe it's like top 5 Cy Young finishers. You know how like over the course of 4 months they picked up 2 of them, and Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans.
Yeah, and we signed Lugo to an extension in the very next game after he was a Cy Young candidate. That we signed it. Maybe we're just snake bit.
Or maybe you know what one of the things they do.
He sucked.
Or maybe they lock up Gold Glove, Platinum Glove, and number 2 MVP caliber talent for multiple years, or even lock up All-Star Gold Glove third baseman.
Duran, I love you, and I'm listening from North Carolina, but I just got to tell you
that the last 2 years don't matter, and the only thing that matters is this year.
No, what are you telling me? You were happy with the season last year, and you're going to point at injuries. Well, what year you gave me 24 with injuries? Now it's 25 with injuries. Now it's 26 with injuries. When is somebody accountable?
I do believe listen. I won't argue with that point. They've got too many pitching injuries right now, and I think they need to be reviewing what it is they're doing and how things are working. Either the people they're going for or the way they're tweaking deliveries and stuff like that. But I would rather have them tinker and add weapons and make guys better and have them go down than just watch the riffraff of the same tired 3-pitch arsenal that was going on before J.J. Piccolo took over. They're the guys that are hurt now, I believe, are hurt because they're trying to continue to give them more weapons to make them better pitchers. And I'll live with more injuries as long as that's what's going on. But the Royals were a stale organization that was we're a fastball curveball team and everybody's got to do it our way, and they sucked pitching-wise for years. So they have shown much more promise in pitching over the last 4 years under J.J. Piccolo than they showed the entire time Dayton Moore was running the operation.
Okay, and I won't argue that. How about is there a lack of chemistry or a lack of intensity or a lack of emotion? I know these are competitors. These are super talented athletes at their baseball sport. But that doesn't mean that we have guys who will, at least a few, who will eat lead and spit bullets. Because you have to have some. And I think we have a bunch of nice guys who might be some type Vs. I don't know. Something's amiss, and I'll go back to that. Something's amiss with this team, and we weren't hurt in April. The whole month of April, we were not hurt, except for Estevez.
Yeah, no, I said that a little bit ago. Yeah, I hear you, Chuck. And Chuck, and I get the frustration, and that's part of the problem with baseball. I'm going to let you go because I want to get some more folks in here. But and I appreciate the call, and I understand your frustration. And the baseball season is so many games; it makes it the beauty of baseball when you're winning is it's every night. The curse of baseball is when you're losing, it's every night, and so it just pounds the negativity into your head, pounds the positivity. Nothing like looking at those standings when you're playing good ball, but it sucks when you're losing. But it's still just 1 year compared to the last 2. It's 2 years over 4. I mean, it is still part of the process, and the injuries have mounted. I am with you 100%. They cannot go through another injury-plagued year next year and be like, well, we're just snake bit. But you got to figure out, start moving off the guys that are hurt and start getting the guys that'll play. Dwayne, you're in the program. What's going on, Dwayne?
Hey, Termin, how are you and how you guys doing?
We're doing well. What's on your mind, Dwayne?
Okay, I have a concern and a question about
Okay.
the Chiefs. Today's interview with Andy Reid, he basically said he stopped short of saying it because he was irritated. People asking him about are they going to run the ball. He said, "Well, we're going to mix it up, but I'm not going to change our." And then he stopped right there. It was like he was saying, "I'm not going to change our offense. We're still going to run the same plays. Just we have a different running back now." You know. So I worry about Patrick Mahomes even making it through the season, especially with injuries already at, wide receiver and stuff. And my second question for you is, I've been hearing a lot about this wide receiver there in camp. His last name is Caldwell. They say he's a big fella and got good hands and good speed.
They don't say he has good hands. They say he's a tall fellow and he's got good speed, but nobody thinks he's got good hands.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, but he is a guy to watch because he is a 6'5" athlete that ran, 4.3, and so keep an eye on him. If they can teach him to catch, if they can teach him to run routes, he is a tremendous athlete, right?
Oh, okay.
But there's a reason why no one drafted him.
I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah. And Dwayne, let me say this, and I'm going to let you go because I want to keep moving here. But I think we all share your concerns. I definitely share your concerns about Andy Reid in the offense, right? I mean, I think that's one of the things that is he going to make the necessary adjustments. Vicky, I'm sorry we're running short, but take us through the final 30 seconds.
Quickly. The Royals are a small market team, but if you look at the Dodgers before they became a humongous big spender, their farm system was the basis of their success. And so the Royals farm system needs to be the focus of their work, not these big money purchases and rental players, in my opinion. And secondly, Johnny Cueto was a shiny object. And I know when he left the Royals, I was stunned at how lousy he was. I didn't remember that. I just thought he was a shiny object, so we all fall prey to that. And there you go.
Vicky, you're the best. Thank you so much. What a great way to wrap up the first hour. We will take a break, come back, see if Matt Derrick can get more done in less time than Vicky just did.
All right, who's the only Raider to lead the NFL in receptions twice? Brought to you by Twin Peaks.
A man who makes love out of nothing at all. Matt Derrick joins us here in the program. How are you, Matt?
I feel like I usually just make Chiefs coverage out of nothing at all more often.
Is that what it is?
Who knows?
Matt Derrick brought to you by our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. You know, I know it's hot right now, but before long it'll be fall. The weather will start cooling off, and you'll still be wanting that seal coating done. I'd encourage you to get on the schedule right now with Gann. They're booking up fast, and pretty soon that weather will start to turn. You'll be like, oh, my God, we got to get this done. Go to GannAsphalt.com. Book your appointment today. They handle it all. Protect your property with asphalt paving, seal coating, crack filling, parking lot striping, concrete work and repairs. One contractor, all things pavement. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. Matt, we've reached the point in our conversations where I can finally say, who looks good?
Who looks good? Because now it matters.
That's what I love when I get that question. Who looks good? So who looks good?
Peter Woods looked good.
Okay.
Yeah, Peter Woods looked good. He looked like the legit real deal today. I can't remember who he went up against on the first round, but he looked good in the first round too. But the second time around, he went up against Hunter Norzad, and honestly, Hunter Norzad was great in his first reps. I can't remember who he went up against.
You thought he was or wasn't great?
I thought Hunter was great on his first round. Again, it was against the backup defensive tackle at guard rather than center, which is his more natural spot. And then he drew the short straw against Peter Woods, and man, Peter Woods is just fast and strong. Okay. He is going to make a couple of guys at camp this year probably second guess their career choices or their lives.
I mean,
he might sneak up on some of the big boys too. I mean, Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey don't pay attention. He's going to sneak up on them.
That's giant because they've got a secondary that could use a defensive line that allows them to cover for less time.
Yeah. And, and we saw earlier in camp, they had some of their third down packages that I thought was really intriguing because, they were kicking Ashton Gelati inside next to Woods and then Chris Jones outside.
I always love it when somebody's kicking Ash. Yeah, was I the only one that thought you were just slurring a word there?
Exactly where
kicking
I thought you was going.
Kicking Ashton Gelati. There was more there. I'm sorry. Okay.
Which, unfortunately, Gelati's out with the hamstring right now, so not doing that. And, that's the only thing that would worry me about this team right now is that they've got some number problems at edge, and they're going to have to figure some things out. But, Peter Woods looks good. I saw today was one of the strangest things I've ever seen. And maybe you've been around a lot longer about this than I have been, Soren, so maybe you've seen it.
Whoa, there's an old shot at me out of nowhere.
No,
what the hell?
It was not an old shot. It was just you've been. I mean, we're roughly the same age. It's just that,
when have we ever thrown a barb around here? And you come in here slinging.
I was doing something less important than sports before,
All right. You're very kind for that, but I am old. It's okay.
I was leaning more on the experience here than the age. So
and in reference to what?
Mansour Delane was not in any 11-on-11 teamwork today, but he was in the huddle with the ones and would be out there for the play call and everything and then jog off the field to the sidelines. I've never seen that before.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of what they were doing. You tell me, because you've been around long enough to remember this. When Xavier Worthy, wasn't he hurt right away in OTAs and minicamps, and he basically was just standing next to Matt Nagy, and he would be listening to everything.
He was. You're right. He did do that, kind of standing next to Nagy and getting the play.
We've got big plans for this guy, so I want his head, even though he's not going to be out there physically. I want his head in the game. That's what it sounds like they're doing with him. But when do we get? This is one of the things that we had on our list today. We were going over, and I'll ask you: when do you get concerned that he's still in the yellow jersey? I'm not saying it's today. This is not a loaded question like we should be freaking out right now. We should not be freaking out right now. But when should we? When do we get concerned? When do we panic? When is it a disaster?
I mean, I feel like the end of camp is probably a good barometer. But if you wanted to say you would get concerned after the first preseason game, I could buy that. I mean, that's only about a week difference. But that's, to me, I mean, I think it's going to be a concern if he's still in that for another 3 weeks. But he should be getting closer.
Yeah, I'm with you.
First preseason game is a week from Saturday.
I would say the second preseason game. I would say concern hits at the first preseason game, right? Which will probably actually technically be a couple days before, because if he's still in it, we'll know he's not going to play.
Right.
So whenever I know he's not going to, I feel like he's not going to play in the first preseason game, I'm concerned. I'm flat out worried if we go by the second preseason game and he's not in there.
Yeah.
And then I'm panicked. I'm panicked if he's not in the third. And it's entirely possible that he can be ready for the third, but they're like, well, we're not going to risk him. So maybe I shouldn't say. I'm panicked if we hear he's a no-go for week one. I'll take away that third preseason game. I'm panicked if he doesn't play week one.
Because let's be real. I mean, if he's not playing in the first two preseason games, I can't imagine that he's going to play in the third. I mean, maybe they put him out there for a series, but I mean, that's increasingly just a final fourth preseason game for Andy Reid. So, I mean, the second preseason game would be like pretty crucial to me because that's when I think there's a chance that maybe Mahomes gets out there. That's when I would, if you're going to give him any preseason time, that would be the one game that you would give some of these guys to it. If they don't get in there by the second preseason game, then I don't think they are. But the fact that the Chiefs, that they're having him do that right now, I mean, it tells you they're planning on him starting week one. I mean, they want him to be the starter from the get-go. He just needs to get ready.
Which begs the question, what is camp? I guess I'll answer my question before I even asked it. And I'll just make it a statement. Camp means different things to different people. Like Mansour Delane was one of the true first-round picks. They have no doubts about his ability to play.
Right.
So, first of all, they can't be wrong. We already know with all the picks they gave up together, he has to be a player.
Better be.
But so they feel like he just has the God-given skills and the football instincts and everything that they can put him out there and go. Right? So, that's why I say I'm concerned. I'm worried. Whatever. How did I break it down? We usually always have three levels.
Yeah.
It's concerned. We're concerned when he doesn't play in the first preseason game. We're worried on the second one, and we'll panic when he's not ready for the regular season. That's how I'd break it down.
And I would agree with you there. I mean, and it's been very difficult to evaluate him, and I think some of his, if there are any weaknesses or deficiencies, because they've really been asking him not to do anything too physical. And one of the things that includes is also just running downfield. So, he doesn't cover guys downfield. I mean, if he's lined up on the outside and the guy he's lined up against is running a fly route, I mean, he's letting him go.
And what exactly is the injury?
It is a shoulder.
Right.
And we've never really gotten details about what that means.
Right, so the legs are fine.
Legs are fine. But as Andy Reid said, they got him playing with one arm right now. Although he did, as I said, he was playing special teams on kick coverage the other day, one day before Cyrus Allen went down. So yeah. So much for Dave Tope saying, well, we're backing off of him because, he's in that yellow jersey.
Yeah, it's that is. I'd really like to see him be a full go.
Yeah, I mean, just because you don't, especially for a rookie, you don't want that first taste of true NFL game speed to be week one, because you're going to get tested. You absolutely are. I mean, quarterbacks, everybody's going to be looking to say, okay, wait, this guy didn't play anything.
You're going to be looking at Jalen Waddle on one side, and who's the other? They have another good wideout.
Cortland Sutton?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I was going to say, for some reason, Colston was coming to mind.
Yeah, that'd be a story.
Yeah.
Two tough matchups, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to face real talent with an offensive mind that seemingly knows what he's doing and has even said, okay, and I'm going to hand the play calling duties over to my OC, which makes you think that he's like, okay, this guy's sharp. I can do that.
Yeah.
How excited would we be, by the way, if we saw those play calling duties handed over here? Not excited because we don't like Andy Reid, but excited. Yeah. I would be excited because I'd be like, Andy Reid's never done this. He must really be impressed with the guy he's handing it to.
Yeah, I mean, I think what would impress me is if they just had, I don't know. I mean, I get that there's a reason for their success, and the reason for Andy Reid's success is the way that he is structured the way that he is. But and I know they've had some moments of spontaneity in their offensive play calling, but by and large, 99% of the time, they've got a game plan that they put together during the week, and by Friday, it's locked in place, and they know in every situation what they're planning to call. I mean, if Andy Reid got hit by a bus before a game, they'd know exactly what plays they were going to call in each situation because they've already gone through it. It's going to be like, okay, well, here's our script, and once we're off the script, I mean, okay, we've got these plays for 1st and 10 from this hash mark and this yardage. These are all our 2nd and medium plays. I mean, there's no. I mean, the number of just, hey, Patrick coming to the sideline and saying, hey, do I have time for WASP? I mean, that's 1 in 1,000. It feels like. I mean, most of the time they know what they're going to do. And again, I mean, it just feels like that. I think if you were to see that, I think the one thing that you would probably hope for is that there would just be some spontaneity. There's a little bit more response to the situation than they usually have.
Well, one of the knocks. Which article was it, Kyle? Somebody had. Was it from The Athletic? One of the guys at The Athletic had gone around and polled 10 defensive play callers, 10 defensive coaches.
That's right, Ted Wynn.
And it ranked and from that came up with a ranking of the best play callers. And number 6 was Andy Reid. They went 1 to 32, and number 6 was Andy Reid. But the write-up was like, this is kind of emeritus. Like, we're kind of putting it in there because he's always been up there. And then the write-up included one defensive coach that says, you definitely don't stay up late. You don't worry all night staying up late like what's he got coming at us. He said they've become pretty predictable. And so that's from another guy in the league. And give me a 6, Kyle, because I want to play this with Matt here. So I think, like you can bristle at the media for asking certain questions, but that's your peers who just, said, not what he used to be. All right, I'll play this for you. This is Andy Reid today. Matt was up there in St. Joe when this was asked about the number.
I know what it is.
Yeah,
too.
about the number of under center plays they've run so far.
Yeah, we've always mixed it. I think that's a healthy thing, So I mean, it's not. There's no reason why or what, but other than. We have some good stuff out of that, and we want to try to use it. Nate, you want to know if it has some more runs and play action and naked. Well, no, I mean, listen, we're going to mix. So that's what we're going to do. We're not going to change that part.
Okay, so you hear just a little bit in the background. He's getting a follow-up question that says, okay, play action. I know where you're going with this. Right, because this is not the first time he's been asked this. And we all know it's not the first time he's been asked it because we started asking it last year. It became clear that the best offenses in football were running the ball with more power. They were running the ball from under center, including the Seattle Seahawks with Kenneth Walker. He's heard all the numbers about Kenneth Walker's better, from under center, and he's clearly wrestling at it. Now, I get that he doesn't want to be like, yeah, we're totally changing everything. We're going to be everything under center. Like, he doesn't want to tell us that, And he's probably irritated at the question of, well, you're under center. But don't you think the practices we're at, there's some guy from half the league. The league's got, half your schedule at least has got a guy sitting in the stands videotaping what you're doing. So we're not shocked, okay?
No.
Like the whole Michigan sign stealing thing. Like, you should watch some of the documentaries. Like, everybody had a guy, okay? And so...
They just got popped.
Yes. And even that, I don't even know what they got really popped on.
Right.
But anyway, so it like, I understand he's grown tired of hearing it, but is he grown tired of hearing it because he's addressed it? Like, last year, he couldn't address it because once they set sail, there's no tweaking the offense because everything's been put in, and we got to live with what we got. And so he's tired of it, and now he's addressed it, but he can't show how he's addressed it, and so he's irritated by the question? Or is it because he's gotten to a point where, I'm Andy Reid, how dare you question what I do, which is the sign of where the game is starting to pass you by. Because you start to believe your own BS, that if you call it, it's a great call because you called it, instead of seeking what is the truth.
Yeah. And the crazy thing, I mean, I think it's one of those things where I think it's a little bit of everything. Hey, sometimes is there underneath even like that answer today a little bit of Andy Reid saying, "Are you really questioning me about calling an offense and mixing it up and everything? Really, me?" There's a little bit of, I think, undercurrent in there, but I think there's also been I think, talk enough about, the staff attrition that they've had on offense, and even with, Nagy and Bieniemy coming in and out, and, and obviously they have had other guys leave too, because they ended up with really young coaches at spots like that weren't super experienced. You end up with the Connor Embrees at wide receiver, and you end up with Todd Pinkston at your running back spot. I mean, Tom Melvin's and Andy Heckert, the only two guys that have been around for a while. And even new guys like Joe Blameyer kind of popping into the equation. It doesn't feel like that Andy has had the experience that he has maybe wanted and the diversity that he needs that he had, say, in 2019 or 2018, when it just seemed like, hey, every year they were adding new wrinkles. There was new aspects, something different in the offense. And then he gets a young staff it's less experienced, and they're going to the Super Bowl every year and the AFC Championship game. And they've got no time between the end of the season and draft prep. And hey, the man's, mid-60s. So, yeah, I mean, he probably...
68. He's late 60s.
Now he's late 60s. He absolutely needs more help putting together game plans. And I don't know that he's always had enough experienced guys around him to help him do that. And as a result, yeah, I think the last 3 years have looked really similar. I mean, the offense hasn't changed a lot. Yet, around the league, all these teams, like, what the Rams and what they're doing with their tight ends, I mean, a lot of this is stuff Andy Reid was doing in 2020, and teams are just been going back and stealing some of his old stuff. It's also, some of it's just that he doesn't have the personnel to run some of his old stuff.
In 2020, he's pretty much been all shotgun since Pat got in the mix, hasn't he?
And that is something to monitor and to think about, because
how much of this is what Pat wants?
How much is it what Pat wants, but how much of it is also where's Patrick comfortable? Because I feel like in just the small section, the small sample that we have seen so far, that Mahomes is a whole lot more comfortable, obviously, in shotgun than he is under center. And I haven't gone through enough to be able to crack the numbers and be able to say, okay, well, here in camp is his passing accuracy under center versus in shotgun. But he does look like, I feel like, a little rushed under center. But the word always in the past has always been, too, that he's just not as comfortable under center. Remember, I mean, Patrick's not 6'4", he's 6'2". It's not a big difference, but it's a small difference. But it's definitely, from what I've heard over the years, is that he's just not as comfortable reading the defenses and seeing things as well as he can from shotgun. So he has a little bit of that. But I think it's also, it's just that he's also more accustomed to, in shotgun, you have a short drop. And now under center, he's got a longer drop. So if he's got like a 7-step drop, he's getting to that 7-step. And under center, you got to get rid of the ball at that point. And I just don't see him as being comfortable in that rhythm of saying, okay, here's my drop. Here's when I have to get the ball out. It feels like his clock under center is a little bit more accelerated than it is under shotgun.
Yeah, I get it. It's something he needs to learn, but I think we can agree it's something he needs to learn.
100%.
I mean, he needs to become comfortable.
I expect him to get more comfortable. It's just going to be, hey, what's the adjustment? I don't want to say learning curve. I don't think it's learn it, but it's just, getting more comfortable with it.
Okay, on that front, 9. Give me 9. Let's partner what we just talked about with Trey Smith's comments. Here's Trey Smith, who said he thinks they can get more out of the power run game.
Yeah, I think we can definitely be more effective, like you said, in that how we're running the ball, man, wanting to get after people, reduce them physically. I think really just I always quote it, and I think Steve Hutchinson said it at like a symposium one time, but, making the defensive line and defense like earn the right to rush the passer. You keep them honest, man. If they're just able to pin their ears back and, hell, they know you're going to throw it every time, it makes it a tremendously tough job. And really, it's a hard duty as an old lineman when you know that they know what's coming next. And, when you have that run game, you're able to now the offense is running all cylinders. That's what we've always wanted to do. That's what we've always aspired to do. So for us, man, it's just about us doing our job, one person at a time, one play at a time. And as a whole unit, we'll have success. And that's just how you have to look at it.
What did you take from that?
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, this offensive line, it wants to run the football more, and it wants to run with power. These guys love it. And even there's some new aspects, or at least some increased aspects. I mean, we've seen a lot more screen game in this camp than we have seen in the past, at least the last few years. And these guys love it. I mean, you can see it. I mean, there's just a pep in their step. And And you also happen to have, I think, in particular, 3 guys between Trey, Creed, and Josh Simmons, 3 guys who are also really, really good at it. I mean, these guys can move. They can get downfield. I mean, they can run with a running back, and you get those guys with a head of steam. They're just starting to look for linebackers and safeties that they can take out. I mean, that's their dream. But they also have some running backs now where, they can at least get downfield. That's been a problem for this team. And I get his point. I mean, it's really, really difficult if you are an offensive line and you're trying to power run block, and the team going against you is pass rushing the entire time. I mean, it fouls up your timing. I mean, you would think to yourself and say, okay, wait a minute. If the defense is only worried about getting after the passer and they're not worried about playing the run, well, I mean, once again, it's almost like, hey, I'm playing checkers and you're playing Risk.
Well, I think a lot of it was, I think for most of Andy Reid's career, for all of Lavelle Edwards' career at BYU, which is where I think Lavelle Edwards is actually the biggest influence, maybe even more so than Mike Holmgren, on Andy Reid. You had these, okay, BYU likes to throw the ball, and then they go play defense but they got to run it this time. So we're going to get in our, we're not going to let them run the ball. And they're going, fine. And then we'll come back and we'll run with our draws and things when you finally start backpedaling and everything. And defenses never adjusted until everybody started playing it the way they did. I think one of the first guys, I'll give Belichick credit, or maybe it's Charlie Weiss, I don't know who it was. The Patriots were the first team kind of in their second and third Super Bowls where they would come out and they would throw the ball 11 times in a row. And Bill Cowher's over there going, we're going to stop the run, and we're going to wondering why they couldn't break through and win a championship. And then the Patriots would come back around to running the ball. They started playing kind of Andy Reid style football, and defenses still were in base defense and going, well, we're not going to let you get 5 yards on first down. Okay, I'll take 12. Okay, but you're 1st and 10. Now you're not going to get 5 yards. Okay, I'll take 9. Oh, okay, short yardage. Let's get our big people out there. We'll take a bomb over the top or whatever. And over the last 3 years, they have finally said, screw you. Here's a base nickel, and here are little linebackers that can run, and we'll put 6 and 7 defensive backs on the field. And Andy Reid is still trying to throw into that. And they did not diversify their personnel to be able to handle the small packages. And now, and I think it's because he doesn't want to. It's not fun.
I mean, here's the thing, though, is that, Andy Reid, I think actually there are times when he does have fun running the football. And there have been absolutely games in the past. And usually it is when, there have been situations where maybe this team's manhood has been challenged, or maybe it's just been roughed up a little bit. And the one that always stands out to me is
the game against Buffalo where they came out and pounded Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
That's a great one. The one that always stands out to me, that the craziest one is 2019. They went out, and beat the Raiders 28-3 or something, but they had 31 yards rushing. And that week, they come back. It's a big win, everything like this. They came back, and Andy Reid just absolutely beat that offensive line and that run game to pieces. And just said, you're going to go out and you're going to run. They went out and they ran for 150 yards or something against the Ravens run defense. And that was just, they were just like, yeah, this week coach was just pounding us. It's like, you are going to set the tone. You've got to do that. They haven't been able to do that the last 2 years. And I don't think it's the offensive line. I think it's been the run game. I just don't think that they've had the running back stable that could go out and enforce its will. Well, I think they do now, and they're going to have to.
I heard from Trey Smith in that comment. I've softened on it. The first time I heard it, I was like, yeah, we were predictable last year. And when I listened to it again, I'm like, no, he's just answering the question and saying, yes, we want to be able to run the ball. We want to make sure that they have to play us honest. We don't want them just lined up and coming at our quarterback. I don't think it's like we were predictable last year.
Well, he did say, doing that when they know you're not going to run is a difficult duty, a hard duty to do. I think there was a little bit of that. It's pretty tough to block these guys when they know you're.
Oh yeah,
they're going to pin their ears back.
But I don't think it was that was our problem last year.
I agree.
I don't think that was what he was saying. I think he was just talking the general concepts of football because he's such a bright guy. So I don't want to read into it. But and also I'm armed with that line that is really sticking with me. that was in the piece in The Athletic where the defensive play caller around the league's like, you don't stay up late at night for Andy Reid anymore. I mean, listen, nationally, the most underreported story, the most underrated conversation is, where is Andy Reid as a head coach right now? Yeah. It is arguably the biggest question in the NFL, I think, at this moment. And nobody nationally is talking about it. And I get it, because they're at 35,000 feet. You know, they're 100 miles wide and an inch deep. We're here at a mile wide and 100 miles deep. And so we're going into it. But I think, what do you think the biggest story in the NFL is right now? If it's not Mahomes, I kind of think Mahomes is full go, is kind of taking, that was going to be it. Is Pat ready? Okay, Pat's a full go. Okay, that's off. That's no longer the story. When they start playing games, we'll talk, how does he look? What about the brace? But, that was the singular focus. Where's Pat? Where's Pat? I know right before camp started, I was on ESPN radio. How's Pat? How's he look? What's he going? That was it. Didn't even mention to me that Eric Bieniemy had left the team.
Yeah.
Right? So that was right up into practice starting. And so, what do you think the biggest story in the league is right now?
About anything, or just not
anything in the NFL? What's the biggest story?
I'm usually one of the worst people to ask, because I'm the exact opposite. If it doesn't happen in front of me, I don't know what's going on.
I don't see anything. Is Andy Reid still got it?
No.
Should Andy Reid be handing off the play calling duties? Nobody is doing that. And I'm going to tell you that for me, I always knew Pat would do everything he could to be ready to go. And as long as he didn't overdo it, that if he would probably be ready, and he's not going to be 100% this year. Everyone will tell you that. He's probably going to be like 90%. And so, yes, that's a story. But to me, the story is Andy Reid is 68 years old. The offense wasn't that great, even with Mahomes. The organization said, you're still the best quarterback in football. We're paying you. Tom Brady never missed the playoffs. Never missed the playoffs. They were 6-7 on their way to losing against the Chargers, and they were at 6-8. They weren't making the playoffs, even with Pat.
No.
So they get this kind of get out of jail free card. Well, Pat was going to score against the Chargers, and then we would have been 7-7, and we would have won the last three with Pat. 10-7, we're in there. You never know what happens.
The same thing that people said all year, and up into that game.
Okay, make yourself feel better on that, but they weren't the same offense, right? And Andy Reid even is now talking about, well, we were a top 10 offense before Pat went down. When was that good enough in this town? We're talking about a team that was 1-3-6, 1-4-3, 10th. 10th is now, we're celebrating 10th.
Yeah.
By the way, 10th is top 28%. I mean, we're not talking about 10th. There's not 100 teams in the league. 10th is 6 spots ahead of mediocrity.
Yeah. To me, there are two things there. One is, so much of Andy Reid's value as a head coach is because of the play calling.
Yes.
Without that, he's a great head coach. Why? Because he calls the plays and they're awesome. The second thing is, if one guy said that, there's more.
Yeah.
And not just a couple more. There isn't just one guy going, I think I've discovered something. That's a symptom of the guy's willing to say it. There has to be at least half a dozen or more people that are feeling along the same line. And I can't think there's anybody out there who goes, they're completely wrong. He's actually just as hard to plan for as he ever was.
And
everyone probably feels to some degree.
And I agree. I mean, I think it's a little bit of a blemish on Mahomes that Brady doesn't have, that he always made the playoffs. But then again, you know what? Never went to 3 straight Super Bowls. He never went to 7 straight AFC Championship.
Who, Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
Yes, he did.
He went to 3 straight, right?
He went to 3 straight Super Bowls.
I think he went to back-to-back.
He went to 5 straight.
Went to 5 straight. He won 3 and lost.
1, 2.
He won, lost, won, lost, won.
One lost and one.
Yeah. Think of what
3.
years it was.
It just went to 3. He didn't go to.
I thought he went to 5 straight.
No, he went to 3 and 4, and he went 1. Yeah, like you said, he won 1, lost 1.
Okay.
Lost in the wild card and lost in the conference before that.
So he went to 3 in a row.
Some stretches,
but he went to 3 in a row.
Yeah.
But I mean, once again,
and they did. They have the record. It was their record that the Chiefs were chasing for AFC Championship game appearances, right?
Yeah, 8
straight.
They
broke.
Yeah, he went to 8 straight. No, the Chiefs didn't break it. Pats went to 8.
All right, I will stand corrected in that part. But I mean, and then again, they never had a 3-peat chance. They were never in that ballpark. I mean,
well, they won 2 in a row,
but they didn't. But they didn't make it to the Super Bowl to get the 3.
Yeah, the Chiefs
I
only won.
still think that
get
was a
back
lot
to it.
more, challenging than.
Well, I'm not putting up. I'm not trying to, listen. I'll take Brady's career is better than Pat's right now. We can do whatever, and I don't think Pat necessarily has to win 8 championships to move in front of him. But my point simply is there was never a season with a healthy Tom Brady that they were 6-7.
No.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, it's to me,
this is not an indictment on Pat. I'm bringing this up. Pat's not the issue in my mind. The issue is Andy.
I agree with that, and you know what? That's where I guess I could absolutely make that case too. I mean, I am with you there. I think that there's a little bit of it that's got to be on the front office too, because like that team that lost the Eagles. I mean, there were some fundamental, and last year's team had fundamental flaws. They knew about it. They just didn't know how to fix them. And I mean, I've always said, I mean, that summer everybody knew. If you were out there watching that practice last summer. You were sitting there and saying, this team cannot run the football. These running backs are terrible. They don't have a legitimate running back. And, you're out there talking about, hey, can they go get Brian Robinson, from the Commanders? And it's like, nope, money's not there. Can't afford that guy. It's just like there's no solution. So, I mean, you could see that train wreck coming. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be as bad as that. I mean, I certainly thought they should have been a 500 team. But that team last year, man, you take a top 24 running back and you put it on that team, they make the playoffs. That's how bad that team was. They didn't have a top 24 running back.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't think they had a top 50 running back.
Who's the great wideout? I mean, I think they're a little more flawed than just the running back. I think the running back is an important spot to upgrade.
They had some other flaws, and
could that guy have made the wide receivers better? It's possible.
Yeah, I think everything. It's a team sport, so if you get better in one place, it takes pressure off all the other places. I definitely believe that. But
having no running game,
if they don't run the ball this year, then whose fault is it?
Well, if they don't run the football this year, I mean, it's going to be Andy Reid because Brett Veach has given him the tools. Yeah. He's given him the guys.
Or they've paid a bunch of guys that aren't near as good as they think on that offensive line.
Unless Kenneth Walker and DeMarcado and Emmett Johnson all go down with injuries, this team should absolutely. And honestly, I mean, even then, I feel like the 4th, 5th, and 6th running backs are better than what they had last year.
And obviously, that's a question that we ask and try to answer before we've seen how it comes about. I think if that happens, there won't be any guess as to whose fault it is because we will have seen how it worked out.
Yeah.
We'll know whether it was scheme or whether it was just those guys can't block.
Last year, I put a lot on last year on the front office because I don't think that they gave the offense, either Pat or Andy, the tools that they needed for success. And yes, I mean, the offense has been very stale for the last 3 years. I think you absolutely can make that argument, and the evidence is right in front of you. And like you alluded to, I mean, there's obviously other people around the league who are saying it. But this year, I don't think there's a ton of excuses. I mean, there's weaknesses on this team. I mean, if something happens to Travis Kelce, I don't know what kind of boat they're in. If they get 2 or 3 injuries to the running receivers that they have right now, I don't know what kind of trouble they're going to be into.
The Royals have made a move. Nolan Hoffman is a Kansas City Royal. Who? Nolan Hoffman, I say.
Well, yeah.
Well,
the Royals announced that they have acquired right-handed pitcher Nolan Hoffman from the Phillies for right-handed pitcher Manuel Colon. Hoffman was designated for assignment by Philadelphia earlier today. So that's the latest move from your Kansas City Royals. More with Matt Derrick. He's brought to you by our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Kansas City's best, solving parking lot problems for more than 30 years. Go online to GannAsphalt.com.
All right, the Twin Peaks end of the hour answer. Who's the only Raider to lead the NFL in receptions twice?
Tim Brown? Fred Biletnikoff?
Those guys both did, but
Malcolm
only once.
Barnwell?
Nope.
A tight end. Was it a tight
Oh,
end?
Dave Casper. Todd Christensen.
Todd Christensen.
Nailed
There
it.
you go.
6. You give me a clue and 6 guesses. You're in trouble.
Our old friend Todd Christensen,
How did I not leave
formerly
with that?
our
He had a 100 catch year, didn't he?
Yep.
Back when no one had
he
really
had
did
a
that.
couple of 90 catch years. He led the league in receptions with 90 catches.
Back when you could catch
and
100 balls for
19.
719
Yep.
yards.
And did it with the greatest perm
Oh, yeah.
in the history of football.
Fantastic standalone stash.
Yep.
83 and 86. Todd Christensen would have been 70 today. Of course, we lost him way too soon back in 2013 at the age of 57.
We had no idea he was even sick.
Just suddenly he was gone. Such a fun guy to talk to.
Oh, yeah. Smart guy, thoughtful guy,
Always
great
had
stories.
it was like so-and-so once said, Chaucer. As Chaucer once said, you gotta get, he'd always have something fun. He was a delight.
Defense is overrated. I think that's what Chaucer said. Defense is overrated.
You gotta do something.
We're talking to Matt Derrick here, brought to you by our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Matt, the panic that spread through the city on Saturday with Cyrus Allen and Xavier Worthy going down.
It was like the panic of 18-something. That was the panic of 8-1.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal. Yeah.
What do we make of that?
Well, I mean, Chiefs fans, bless their hearts, you all can tend to overreact. So I was not surprised at all.
Well, it was your tweet. Matt, wait a minute, hang on. Matt Derrick says, just an observation. Worthy didn't look that concerned. Yeah, observation only.
But yeah.
That was being shown to me. Wait a minute, Matt Derrick doesn't think it's that bad.
See, I didn't think it was that bad. He was just sitting in the golf cart near the end of practice and went up early. And I just thought it was odd because players don't normally do that. And
they were both front of the golf cart exits, which is always
now
a
Cyrus
good sign.
Allen's his reaction. I thought, he looked like
pulling his
rest in
jersey up
peace.
over his face.
I thought they were going to amputate that night. We were never going to see him again. I mean, that's how bad that was.
There was a doctor with a saw in his hand chasing him up the hill.
I mean, yeah, this was. I mean, I'm surprised that there, wasn't condolences to his family and everything. I mean,
you'll be stone dead in a moment.
So that one looked bad. So that one ended up not being as bad as it was. Now, being day to day with a bone bruise, shin contusion, we get different language on this. Weird because one, like a shin contusion is like 3 to 7 days. A bone bruise is like 2 to 2 months. So it doesn't sound like it's that, even though like Andy Reid's had bone bruise today. I don't think it's really a bone bruise. I think it's just a really bad shin contusion, which, I mean, should
What
be.
is the difference now?
Well, one is just like a bruise on front of your shin and everything like that, and then the bone bruise that went all the way through the muscle and everything, and through the tissue and all the way to actually down to the bone itself. And I mean, just a bruise on your shin. I mean, it's sore, but mild one is like a couple of days. A bad one is like maybe a week or two.
Where's a bruised ego fit? In that?
That's.
I mean,
that's not dated.
That could be a lifetime.
Yeah, that'll stick with some guys for a while.
You got to feel that one in your soul. Think about that one.
Mhm.
You got to feel the spirit.
You were absolutely
All right, Eric.
out indefinitely.
Eric Berry, settle down.
Yes.
Knew that wouldn't be too subtle.
That one ain't going away anytime soon. We'll always have that one.
What? So Jalen Royals, you tweeted out. You had Yazoo J in a huff.
Yeah.
He sent me this. First team wide receivers in team drills to start. Jalen Royals, Tyquan Thornton, and Andrew Armstrong.
I mean, I was only surprised that, Nico wasn't in there too. So could have been worse or better depending on your perspective. But I mean, those three guys. Now the good news, Rashee Rice was practicing today. He was in 7-on-7, which he had not been to this point. So he's closer. I'm hearing he should be in team drills sometime this week. So that would be a vast improvement. And if it's true that Worthy and Allen are both day to day, then you're gonna feel a lot better about the situation.
Do you have a problem with Cyrus Allen running down covering kicks?
I don't. I mean, he's a rookie. He's gonna have to do it. And you can't just take all your rookies off. And also, it's a little bit of, depending on who your receivers are, you've got some guys who don't play special teams because they're just not suited for it. Or, Tyquan Thornton's the one that fascinates me because you don't see Tyquan. Tyquan does not return kicks. He's got 4.2 speed, but does not have the body or the agility to return kicks. That's also why he's a little bit limited as a receiver, but that's another story. So there's some guys that, hey, but a guy like Cyrus Allen, and he wants to, if he's got the want to do it, you need bodies. So yeah, I get if you wanted to just have the bottom of the roster guys do all your special team work in training camp, great. But doesn't do you any good week one when you got 46 guys on the roster and only so many guys, and if you don't want Patrick Mahomes playing gunner, then Cyrus Allen's going to have to do it. The only thing there's a line, and I've talked to some, a lot of former players and people behind the scenes the last couple of days that are like, he's a fifth rounder. It's to be expected. The only argument, and when I push back, I would say, okay, well, but what if he's your number 3 receiver on this team? Doesn't matter. Still going to play special teams.
All right, we'll talk about the offensive line with Matt Derrick. Next, Matt, always brought to you by our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots.
Pete Enoch.
He's a nice old man, isn't he? He's very clean.
On the program, weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If you've been kicking around the idea of getting a new vehicle, especially a truck, now is the time to get to Roberts Robinson. They've got some incredible offers happening right now, including special employee pricing for everyone on select 26 GMC Sierra 1500s, plus 0% APR for qualified buyers on 26 Chevy Silverados. What are you waiting for? Get to Roberts Robinson. In fact, if you're looking for an SUV, the Chevy Equinox models, they're available at 0% APR for 5 years, plus no payments for 90 days. There's never been a better time to get to Roberts Robinson. There's never been a better place to go to buy your new vehicle. The customer service is absolutely fantastic. The service department, world class. That's right. Yes, they have master technicians. They also have world class technicians. You're getting the absolute best service you could possibly ever want. They take care of you when it's time to buy that car. They take care of you when you drive off the lot. They take care of you long after you've driven off the lot. And if you're a military or first responder, you can save 10% on parts and labors. Seniors, if you're 60 and older, get 10% off every Tuesday and Thursday. Plus, every vehicle comes with something you're not going to find everywhere, a free lifetime powertrain warranty. That means coverage on key components like your engine, your transmission, transfer case, drive axle, fluids, filters, all for as long as you own your vehicle. Roberts Robinson is one of only a handful of dealerships that can offer that. So not only are you getting the best deal on your trade, that's right, they start with the best deal on your trade. Not only are you getting the best customer service, but you're getting the best warranty as well. So what are you waiting for? Get to Excelsior Springs. Get to the website, robertsrobinson.com right now. That's right, go to robertsrobinson.com. Mike and his team are absolutely fantastic to work with. You'll have the same fantastic experience that I have, that Curtis has when we go to Roberts Robinson. Stop by Robert Robinson today and see why buying your next vehicle can be a better experience.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. Choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
After my car wreck, there was a lot I didn't know.
I do know. If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me. I've got this.
Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Steve here with Connolly Plumbing Solutions, your neighborhood plumber. We have our sump pump special going. $200 off a main pump, $400 off a battery backup system. Call Connolly at 913-768-7676 or visit ConnollyPlumbingSolutions.com.
It's almost time to draft your team and kick off another season. This year, take your fantasy football draft party to Twin Peaks, where cold drinks made from scratch food and wall-to-wall TVs make your local lodge the ultimate draft day headquarters. Round up your league, grab a table, and get ready for the picks, the rivalries, and a full season of bragging rights. Whether you're defending your title or drafting for the first time, start your fantasy season at Twin Peaks. Book your fantasy football draft party at your local lodge today.
Before you hit the road this summer, take care of that vehicle damage you've been putting off. Reed Collision Centers make repairs simple with certified technicians, trusted service, and convenient locations throughout the area. We repair nearly all makes and models, and our Lenexa location offers free AI photo.
That's right. We're talking to Matt Derrick here in the program, brought to you by our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things paving. You can find them online at GannAsphalt.com. Cooler weather is right around the corner. Like I said, go ahead and get that seal coating booked right now. Make sure you got a slot on their calendar. Go to GannAsphalt.com. Great people, great Kansas City company solving parking lot problems for over 30 years right here in Kansas City. Matt, the Khalil Benson.
Yeah.
We talked about this on Sound Off. We know that right tackle could be a question mark, so we're wanting to see the best from somebody because we've seen Jalen Moore play and it didn't overwhelm us. So the next guy's got to be better. Look at him. He blocked that guy I've never heard of. That guy's a star. Or do you really think they've got something here?
I mean, they've got to think that there's something because Andy Reid's not the type to just have a rookie stalking horse to just say, okay, well, I'm going to put Khalil Benson out there to see if I can drive more out of Jalen Moore and Esapole. I mean, and today, I mean, he had some good and bad moments for the first time in pads. That's to be expected. I mean, there were moments that, like I said, it looked pretty good. There was a couple of moments. It's like, okay, that's a little rough out there. But they've got to see something in him to be putting him in this spot because it would be totally against character for Andy Reid to do this and to put that kind of pressure on the kid. It's just so odd. But if he's the real deal, and I mean, they've got the right setup because, I mean, Jalen Moore's, a consummate pro. We saw it last year. And like you said, I mean, that's a little bit of the ding against Jalen Moore is that he doesn't necessarily have that killer attitude. I mean, he's comfortable in any role. I mean, he truly is one of these guys. It's like, okay, if I'm going to go play, I'll play. But hey, if I have to be backup, I'll be backup. I mean, he's not going to cause problems in either spot. So maybe he is pretty well suited to be your swing tackle that can come in whenever you need it. I think he's well suited for that role. But if he doesn't have that killer instinct to be the starter, maybe that's a reflection of why he is the guy he is.
Yeah, I can't figure out, like usually you get a guy like this, you're like, okay, why wasn't he drafted? Well, he played at Eastern Michigan.
Right.
No, he played for the national champion Indiana Hoosiers in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
All right, well, he's got short arms. No.
Nope.
They're like 34 plus inches long. Well, he's undersized. Nope, over 300 pounds. Like, what am I, like, to me, there's a little bit of me that's like, the mystery is why he wasn't drafted. Not why is he competing for this spot.
I mean, Dane Brugler, best in the business,
But then again, Wanya Morris had 34 plus inch arms and played at Oklahoma, and he was a brutal. So,
and you boil it down, and he said, "Hey, it's sloppy technique and maybe better suited to guard." Maybe that's why everybody passed on him. I mean, he was but everybody was consensus on this. It wasn't like this is a guy that was like, "Oh, see, some teams have him as a third-round pick."
Yeah.
And some guys are undrafted. I mean, this is pretty much consensus. Like, okay, this guy's going to be either, tryout guy or unsigned free agent.
Okay. We'll see how it all plays out. But, yeah, if you've got an undrafted free agent that ends up starting at right tackle, that helps the cap a lot.
Yeah, that is finding the nugget of gold.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, great stuff. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care, guys.
All right, who was the last LCS or World Series MVP winner to be acquired mid-season? Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
That's right. Two great locations at an Unlimited RV in Independence, 4400 North Cobbler Road, and down at the Lake of the Ozarks, 12 Hauser Road. You can find those locations and find a lot more at unlimitedrv.com. Voted one of the top 50 RV dealers in the country. That's the fourth straight year they've been voted that. They also are Kansas City's #1 RV dealer. You want to get on the road, you want to get to the lake, not just a lake. How about all the lakes? Then get to Unlimited RV. 4.7-star Google rating with over 900 reviews. Lifetime warranty on all new campers. Lifetime warranty on used campers that are 2 years old or newer. Locally owned and operated, veteran owned. It's Unlimited RV. Go see Josh and his great staff. They're absolutely great to work with. They've got an incredible selection. They've got a great service department. They've got everything you need to go out and vacation like a pro. Go to unlimitedrv.com to learn more. Let's get things started. We begin in Charlotte, North Carolina. Joshua Marlowe, 92.7 WFNZ in Charlotte, North Carolina is up first. Josh, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you having me back on.
Yeah, we appreciate the time. Let's start with Bryce Young. This would be the time that teams would start looking at locking up their quarterback, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen with Bryce Young. They're going to let him play it out, so this is kind of a contract year for him. Is that accurate?
It's a contract year. Of course, they could pick up the fifth-year option. The franchise tag could be something that could come down the line for him as well. But they've been building to this point, and they've given him a lot of weapons. Brant Tillis, a guy you're very familiar with there in Kansas City, said today, "Hey, look, we've equipped him to go out there and have the type of season that could warrant us investing in him for the long-term future." And so we got to wait and see how it ultimately plays out. Training camp has been a bit of an injured start. You're down your two starting tackles from last year's playoff game. Chris Brazzell, the rookie wide receiver, he goes down. They had a bunch of high hopes for him, but he's a fourth-year quarterback. He looks comfortable. He looks confident. I do think he is poised. So to have the type of season that would force GM Dan Morgan to give him some form of contract extension after the 2026 season.
Yeah, do they? Where do the fans sit? Are they in his corner, or are they still questioning whether or not he's the guy?
I think it depends on the day. I think it depends on the performance. When he had the type of performances like in wins against the Rams last year, the fans would be more than willing to give him the type of money you have to pay a starting quarterback. But you have the type of games he had last year against the Saints, both at home and on the road, and that's been the big issue for him. He's proven that he's capable. He hasn't been proven to be a consistent quarterback that can play at a top 10, 12 level on a week-in, week-out basis, which I think is a fair expectation for a former #1 overall pick. And so the fan base kind of goes as he goes. When he plays well, they're willing to pay him. When he doesn't play well, they're kind of open to see what else could be out there.
All right, where do we sit as far as the expectations for the team? They have a losing record, but they win the division, a division that's not very good. The Bucs would, I guess, be the biggest competitor, or is it the Falcons with Kevin Stefanski and a new head coach? Like, what is the view that what would be a successful year this year? Is 10-7 a success? Do they need to take a leap up to like 12 wins? What's a success?
And Dave Canales, and he's proven me wrong so far. Each of his first 2 years, he's improved the win total by 3. He inherited a 2-win football team, took him to 5. Took a 5-win football team, took him to 8. If you follow the math, that should put you at 11 this year. That was my prediction when we had the schedule back in, was it April or May? I've knocked them back down to 10-7 amid all the injuries. Success for me would be winning the division, repeating as division champs, doing so with the winning record, and then they don't necessarily have to win the playoff game, but just proving like they did last year they belonged on a playoff field. There's a very good chance, maybe that 10-7 mark gets you slotted in that 4th spot like they were a year ago, but you're facing a team from, let's say, the NFC West that has very realistic Super Bowl aspirations like the Rams did a year ago, and the Panthers took them down to the wire. So I'd love for them to get a playoff win. The city hasn't enjoyed a playoff win since that magical 2015 season, but I think as long as they defend their division championship and do so with a winning record, I do think that Dan Morgan, Dave Canales could justify this season as a success.
All right, where do we sit over at North Carolina with Michael Lombardi being put on administrative leave? He's retained an attorney to, quote, clear his name What do we know what the problem was as to what put him on administrative leave?
We still haven't gotten that to come out, but all reports are that it's not good. My whole take on this was only a matter of time that Michael Lombardi was going to do something that got him in some sort of trouble. And this was maybe the first sign that the Bill Belichick experiment wasn't going to ultimately work out at Chapel Hill, because this was his first hire. And there's nobody that vouches for the guy, whether it's in the collegiate football world, let alone the NFL football world. And for a program that's trying to put last year's disastrous season behind them, they had enjoyed a quiet offseason for the most part. But 4 days before they open camp, there they are having to announce that they put their GM on administrative leave. And for a lot of fans, they're really just ready for this experiment to be over, and they can wipe their hands clean and go try to find a legitimate college football coach to finally get this program over the hump.
Yeah, I mean, $1.5 million Lombardi was making. He was the highest paid general manager in football. I would say that the early returns are not good, correct?
That's more than fair. I thought when Belichick got hired that talent would flock to play for him. I thought they'd being able to bring in top talent on the transfer portal. I thought they'd be bringing in top talent out of the high school ranks, and that just quite simply hasn't been the case. They brought in a relatively large class of freshmen this past offseason. Over 40 have been added to the roster. And I think the big question is Bill Belichick going to be here to see those guys develop into their junior and senior years? And then also, just with the climate of college football, are you developing those guys to play for your program, or are you developing those guys to go play somewhere else where they can A, win, and then B, make more money? Which brings in just another question about how Belichick has approached this whole college football thing.
It definitely looks like there's at least some element of this that is a cash grab for Bill Belichick and all his friends and family and everything along those lines. But is the university, and I could totally understand if they're like, oh, we spent our money on you and your coaching staff, so don't expect the biggest budget out there for a roster. But are they spending on the roster as far as that goes, or did all the money go to the coaching staff?
No, that resources and funds haven't been an issue. It feels like whatever he's wanted, he's been given, because he's Bill Belichick. And when he walks into the table or walks into the room, he can lay 8 Super Bowl rings on the table, and it's kind of hard not to give someone with that kind of success the things that he's asking for. I just think it comes down to, are they allocating the money correctly? Because you look at a roster that one way or another is funded, because every roster now is. And my question is where's the talent? This doesn't look like the type of talent that I would think the money that you have invested would represent. But we just have to ultimately wait and see. I do think they're going to be better. I do think they're going to be much more competitive. But the record could be the same as it was a year ago, and you're not paying him $10 million a year to go 8-16 over his first 2 seasons.
All right, and then I'm just curious, because I think North Carolina is probably the number one target for a Big Ten or an SEC if there's going to be another wave of expansion. I know everyone's sitting around waiting for about 2030, 2031, 2032, when that grant of rights payout would be less, and we think that maybe there's a super league coming. What does North Carolina think their future is as far as a conference goes in, say, 10 years?
I do think they are positioning themselves to exit the ACC. 2030 is kind of the year where the exit fee drops all the way down to $75 million, and the money that they would make in the SEC or the Big Ten, they could pay that off in a rather timely manner. And so I do feel like they want to position themselves for that, because I do think it is inevitable. But they do pride themselves as a department, top to bottom. They field 28 programs. There are certain programs that the SEC doesn't field. There are certain programs that the Big Ten doesn't field. They like being a really good department, top to bottom. They compete in a bunch of the Olympic sports, and I think they want to protect that as long as possible. But I do feel like, when they have to make the decisions that are in the best interest for the university, and we know those interests are usually clouded by how much money can you make, that's going to force their hand. And I do think that if I'm talking to you 5 years from now, we're talking about UNC in either the SEC and the Big Ten, and no longer being the flagship member of the ACC.
Okay. All right. We'll see where it goes. It's kind of sad, but it does feel like that's the direction things are headed. Joshua Marlowe in Charlotte, North Carolina. Great stuff. We appreciate it. Have yourself a fantastic week, my friend. Alec Medford, 105.3, The Fan in Dallas, Texas is next. Alec, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing very good. And George Pickens, all happy and giddy even without a contract. Is that because there's negotiations going on behind the scenes? Or no, he's just happy and giddy to have a contract year?
It's definitely been quiet on the contract front. He's genuinely excited to prove himself, and I do think that a lot of that is because he knows that there is a great opportunity for him to increase his value, if anything. So that's just pure excitement, and he wasn't lying this offseason. He kept on telling the staff in the front office repeatedly, like, I'm going to show up, and I'm here to win. So let's get that figured out. And he showed up with the rest of the team on time to camp, and everything seems great so far.
Yeah, it does seem great so far. I mean, that is, Jerry likes to kind of get these things done and steal all the headlines in preseason. So no one in Dallas would be shocked if they did end up announcing an extension with him, would they?
I think we would be, honestly, because they have been so upfront about the fact that we're not negotiating right now. We're going to go business as usual. And if anything, I think that the front office's attention is focused on guys like Quinnen Williams. He's due for an extension, and they've started talks in that regard. And if there's any kind of headline-grabbing moves to be made, I think it would be in the trade market before it's a George Pickens extension.
Okay. How about Quinnen Williams? Are they looking to get him signed?
Yes, those talks have started, and he's been pretty open to the media about how he wants to finish his career here. And Jerry Jones even said it in the State of the Cowboys address, if you will, to start off camp last week. He mentioned how important this season is because he was like, there's a guy like Quinnen Williams who we're talking about Super Bowl, this and that, and he'll stop you down mid-sentence and say, hey, I've never been to the playoffs, let alone a Super Bowl, a conference championship, any of that. So after, kind of just melting away with the Jets, he's really amped up, and he's excited about the fact that he's with a team that looks like it could be poised for a playoff run.
Brian Schottenheimer have the back of the fan base right now, or still question marks?
100% has the back of the fan base. One, because he's just a joy to listen to. He's won over everybody in the press conferences and in front of the cameras, which is only a small part of the battle. But you just hear about some of the respect that he's gotten across the league for his play calling, and the fact that you had pretty much a little turnover on his offensive staff and the offensive personnel player-wise from year one to year two. I think that speaks to the front office's confidence in his ability, and it speaks to the fact that there was no players that wanted to leave, there was no coaches that needed to get fired on his side of the ball or anything. So I think the fans recognize that, and they're happy to have a somewhat consistent product on offense.
Yeah, no, that helps. What about the quarterback? Is everybody Team Dak, or do they want to see him go to the next level? It's been a long time, and he's yet to really deliver in the postseason himself.
I think this might be the most pro-Dak fan base that we've had in quite some time since the rookie contract, because you saw some of his best play last year, and you saw it in clutch moments. Some of his best decision-making, some of his best reads, some of his best throws, and even when he would tuck it and run last season came in the fourth quarter or in one-score games. So I think he kind of injected some life into this fan base for the people that were starting to doubt after that MVP runner-up year. You had a little bit of a downtick, but now I think you're starting to see some people kind of rally behind him again.
Okay. Caleb Downs, early returns on their first-round pick are good?
Very good, and I think practice might be wrapping up as we speak out in Oxnard. He made a couple highlight reel plays today, the first day in pads for the Cowboys, and he's already making headlines. The reporters out there posting all the videos, and he is just every person that you talked to some players last week, including Jalen Thompson, the free agent safety that they added that plays alongside him. And he was like, for a guy that has never even played an NFL regular season game, preseason game, anything, hasn't played a single snap, he's like, this is the smartest guy that you'll meet for his age, and he's going to be an impact player. Nothing but rave reviews so far.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty good to hear. How about the Rangers? Couple of games below 500, but very much in the mix for at least a wild card and even the division, because no one's running away and hiding with the division. We've got, another 40 minutes before the trade deadline? Do we expect the Rangers to do anything big or no?
I would not expect anything. They didn't really go into the deadline leaning either direction, buying or selling, to the point where I'd even heard from somebody in the National League that the Rangers aren't making any calls at all. They're only taking calls, and a lot of those are kind of going nowhere. So they made 2 nondescript moves here over the past couple of days, but the interesting thing to come from all this is that the 3 big-ticket, high-salary players in Nathan Eovaldi, Jacob deGrom, and Corey Seager, the first 2 that I mentioned have full no-trade protection. Corey Seager has an 8-no-team protection in his contract. The Rangers did approach all 3 of them just to gauge their interest in waiving those clauses, and it sounded like a no from all 3 of them. And I do know that the Atlanta Braves checked in on deGrom specifically, and deGrom explicitly said he was not waiving his no trade for any trade. And he just spoke to the media a few minutes ago and said, I signed here to win. I believe we can still win.
Okay. We'll see if they can put it all together and make a run. They're going to need to turn something up because it's been mediocrity all year in the American League for just about everybody. So we'll see if somebody gets hot, they can run away with it. Alec Medford in Dallas, Texas. Great stuff. We appreciate it, buddy. Have yourself a great week.
You too. Thank you.
Pete Fox, KLOS in Los Angeles, California is next. Pete, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Living in Haterville.
Yeah, that's right. Do the Dodgers like being the villain?
Yes. They kind of laugh about it, right? They're like, whatever, we're not doing anything wrong. They, they seem to welcome it a little bit, but not like a villainous way, just they like enjoy, the focus, if you will, the attention.
Yeah, and listen, we had this conversation earlier today, and I was like, everyone keeps saying, I know everybody hates the Dodgers. I know everybody hates the Dodgers. Living here in Kansas City, a small market, I'm supposed to be one of those guys. I don't hate the Dodgers, and I don't think most people hate the Dodgers. In fact, I appreciate and respect the Dodgers. They've got all the money, and they're trying to win. I hate the system, right? Don't hate the player, hate the game. The game sucks, right? But I completely respect the Dodgers having all that money as opposed to cheap-ass Steinbrenner kid who won't spend it. I have mad respect for what the Dodgers are doing.
Right. I mean, that's the other side of the coin, and I've heard that argument a lot. I have a friend who lives in Phoenix, but he's a Detroit guy through and through. So that guy is obviously very upset, very ticked off, very bent out of shape about the way this went down for a variety of reasons. The biggest one being that the Tigers got nothing. A bag of beans and some fire water and a half-eaten Dodger dog, right? They got nothing. So that's a big part of it, and I understand why that guy is upset. But there are other people that are kind of in the middle, like yourself, that are like the Pittsburgh fans, the Royals fans, the Reds fans, even the Angels fans have this argument, like more than most, because, Anaheim's still a pretty big market. Even though it's not technically L.A., they still pull from that market, hence the ridiculous name of the team. But all of these owners are just cheap, right? That's what makes them rich. And the Dodgers are richer than most. I get it, but they're also not afraid to spend. These other owners could absolutely spend more. And I think that's the argument that a lot of times gets lost is that, and I saw somebody on some network, I don't know who it was, saying, look, why don't these smaller teams and smaller markets open their books and show us how much money they have and how much money they're spending, right? And then we can say, all right, they're doing everything they can, because obviously some owners are richer than other owners. We get that. But you could always be doing more, I think. And the Dodgers do the most that they can with a heavier loaded deck than most. I get it. But they're a team that wants to win. They're going out there and doing everything in their power to win. Here's the interesting thing that I threw out. This is my take. All of those haters out there have to, at this point, realize that if the Dodgers don't win the World Series, their hope for a lockout and a correction of all of this stuff is not going to happen. Like if the Brewers beat them, a small market, low budget team, there's no water in their bucket, right? You have no argument. You have to now root for the Dodgers, and I'm sure they all hate that.
Well, there's an element of me rooting for the Dodgers because I do think there's some truth in what you're saying. I would not say there's no water in the bucket. I mean, it puts a lot more in there if the Dodgers have won 3 in a row in a sport that's really hard to do, and nobody's ever done in the National League, right? No National League team has ever won 3 in a row. It's been basically the Yankees, and I I think the A's that have done that. So, but I think your overall point is correct. And listen, like I said, I don't dislike the Dodgers. My question would be, if they don't win now that they got the biggest prize, and as you said, didn't give up, I think they didn't give up as much as they should have for them, and that's the fault of all the other teams. But if they don't win, where will the disappointment be? Will everyone just be like, well, that's baseball, the playoffs are kind of a crapshoot, or will they point the finger and say, how with all this money spent can you not win?
I think they're going to point at. They'll do something like it's Kyle Tucker's fault. That's what they'll do because he's getting paid a lot of money and not living up to the expectation, right? I don't think it'd be on. There's a theory that if they don't win and Skubal goes elsewhere, then there's some upset people. But if they don't win and Skubal stays around, then they kind of are like, oh, it's all worth it. And I think the Dodger fans would be really upset if they lost in the early rounds, right? If they lost in the DS or something. But if they get to the World Series and lose, a lot of Dodger fans are like, that's baseball, without a doubt. They're not Red Sox fans. They're not Yankee fans, Philly fans. They're not like that. Like, it's not the be-all, end-all of their universe, right? So I think there would be some upset fans, sure. And I think Roberts would probably get a rap, too. Fire Roberts. That always happens when they lose. But I think there's still a lot of what-ifs out there. Win.
The other thing that they do a good job of is they don't really hand out like the Garrett Cole 7-8 year pitching contract. You just mentioned Skubal sticking around. And we watched Mark McGwire get traded to the Cardinals many years ago, those of us that are old and been covering sports for a long time. And he was a rental player, and the Cardinals said, well, we'd like to show him what playing baseball in St. Louis is like. He fell in love with it. He signed a deal, stayed in St. Louis. It was a great success story for that organization. Is that the plan here, or is this just a pure rental, and they'll continue to find the guys that they can give 2 or 3 years to and pay them and let somebody else give the big, long 6-7 year deal to Skubal and watch him walk away at the end of the year?
I don't know. That is a very big question. Born in Hayward, California, which is Northern California. So he's from the northern part of California, reportedly has a house in Arizona, Kingman, Arizona, which is the middle of nowhere. Why would anyone move to Kingman, Arizona? But so there's that aspect, right? And that's always part of it, I think. And some people like to play that as a heavy decision factor. And other people are like, it's not a big deal. These guys are multimillionaires. They can live wherever they want, whenever they want. So I don't know how important that is. So it's a big question. On the podcast last night, a lot of people were asking that question. How does the salary cap affect whether or not he stays around if there is a lockout, et cetera, et cetera? And I just don't know the answer to that. It feels like there's a pull, there's a draw to this organization, right? Because of the 2 World Series, because of the way they do business, right? And I feel like that part of it is one of those things that if they go out and win the World Series, or even if they don't, I feel like he's a guy that will probably want to stay around this, the way the rest of these big-time free agents have. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, none of them came around for a minute and said, see you later. So I feel like there is a draw and a pull to the Dodgers as an organization overall. Just the way they do business keeps players around.
All right, the Chargers had their usual quantity of injuries last year, and yet still made the playoffs. Here in Kansas City, the injuries are being blamed for why they didn't make the playoffs. Chargers had plenty of them, losing both tackles, and still made the playoffs. Yet the Broncos are the slight favorite over the Chiefs, who are just slightly ahead of the Chargers. Really, all three are kind of all up there. It could be any of those three. It's just not the Raiders. But the Broncos have been the slight betting favorite to the Chargers. Are they not getting the respect that they deserve at least right now, as a healthy team?
Yeah, right. I think they get what they deserve, to be completely honest, right? And I think they appreciate kind of being a bit of a sleeper, because what they've got going over there, by all accounts of what we're seeing with the energy around this team after the Mike McDaniel signing and so forth, they are just excited, right? I don't know if you saw the clip, but McDaniel was running around practice in his knickers, so excited, yelling at Harbaugh, "You feel the juice? You feel the juice?" Like that cartoon with the bulldog and the chihuahua. Chihuahua. That's what it felt like. But the team has an excitement, and they are loaded as far as the offense. And the other comment that he made during that little rant when he was running around practice was, we got a lot of on-ball guys, right? There's just a lot of options for this team. So I think they're in a kind of we need to prove it situation. They know where they are. They know who they are. There's not this expectation beyond them. You know, it's an intrinsic expectation more than anything. So I don't know that they really care that, you know, they might be underappreciated nationally, but I also think there is a buzz around this team nationally. I feel like people kind of know what's going on, and that's all because of Mike McDaniel. That is the bottom line. So from that perspective, yeah, everything is you know, going the right direction. Everyone's excited, and everything's on the right track so far.
And so far, no, like, oh, McDaniel and Harbaugh are butting heads about this or that. So far, that relationship's working.
No, yeah, there are polar opposite personalities, and by all accounts from people that are there on a daily basis, they seem to, you know, get a kick out of each other for whatever reason, you know, just because of their personalities being so dramatically different. And so a lot of people have said, you know, this is going to be fun to watch, the way these two guys interact. But I thought it was interesting because, you know, I looked at McDaniel, and so does Harbaugh, as like a co-head coach, even though he's the OC. But that one video seemed like he was trying to gain Harbaugh's approval. You feel the juice, coach? Do you feel it? You know, and it was just exuberance. Obviously, he's a much younger guy than Harbaugh, much younger than most of us. So, yeah, it was interesting. I brought up a point on the squad show, and people were like, "Are you trying to rain on the excitement already?" I'm like, "No, surprised by it. It was a little different than what I expected." Right? I don't know Mike McDaniel. I thought he was more of like a cool character, but he just seemed like this kid just was bubbling over with energy, and that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, after he was asking Jim Harbaugh about if he feels the juice, Harbaugh took a big swig of full milk, paused for about 8 seconds, and said, "I do." Right? I'm sure that's how that exchange went.
You know, he was like, yeah. Didn't have a whole lot to say, but, you know, you could see him kind of like, whoa, look at this guy. He's really excited.
Yeah, yeah. Pete Fox in L.A. Great stuff, buddy. We appreciate it. Have yourself a great week.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, man.
All right, the La Feta Delicatessen, end of the hour answer. Who was the last LCS or World Series MVP winner to be acquired mid-season? Like, what's the likelihood that someone acquired today will have hardware in October. There have only been 4.
Only been 4, so I would say not good.
No.
If there's only been 4, right?
3 World Series MVPs and 1 LCS MVP. Now, 3 of the 4 have happened in the last 10 years. And 1 happened more than 50 years ago. It's an odd little thing.
I don't know. I'm just drawing a complete blank.
Most recent, 2021 Atlanta Braves, Jorge Soler.
Oh, well, yes, the Royal. That's right.
Yep.
I remember that now.
One lesser-known name, 2018, the Boston Red Sox acquired Steve Pearce.
The Orioles, I think.
Mm-hmm. In 2017, 266-game winner Justin Verlander was acquired.
Future 300-game winner. He's still got the rest of this year.
Still got time.
They're going to pitch him every game.
Every game.
They're even or trailing. He's coming in
every night. He was the ALCS MVP in 2017, and you got to go all the way back to the amazing Mets of 1969 when midseason acquisition Don Clendenin won the World Series MVP for them.
Don Clendenin.
Clendenin.
Okay.
Don with 2 N's, I think.
All right. I will take your word for it. I will take your word for it.
That just tells you what that season was like. Out of nowhere, and then a guy they acquire at mid-season. Now, I think 25 wins from Tom Seaver probably helped.
Yeah, that helps.
That didn't hurt him at all.
That'll do it for you. That'll do it for you for sure.
They can pitch.
Yeah,
Jerry Kuzman.
They can pitch. The Dodgers can pitch. Where do you sit on the Tariq Skubal part of the equation?
As being someone who doesn't hate the Dodgers, I wasn't irritated by it. It seems like other teams could have made that move. And he wanted to go win a title, and he's got probably the best chance to win it in LA.
Yeah.
I don't really have a big statement either way on that thing. A team that knows what the rules are, play within the rules. There was a pitcher they wanted to trade for, and they traded for him. This is different to me than a free agent acquisition where it's just pure finances. I mean, I would assume other people. Tariq Skubal seems to think that other teams could have gone after him and didn't.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll state it again. I have no rub with the Dodgers. The rules are the rules, and they're going out doing it. I mean, I think this speaks to how cheap the Yankees have become. Like, they'll spend a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but the Dodgers are deferring money and doing everything they can to pile up as many wins. Now, and I will say this. I am interested to see what happens when, it's 35 and they're paying $68 million to Shohei Ohtani, which my understanding is that they have to put the amount that it would take on average, say it's what was it, a 10-year deal? So 10 years from now, to get to $68 million, how much would you have to put into the market right now? And so I think they're having to put 30 or 34 or 28 million or something into an account. So they are coming out of pocket more than the $2 million that's going to Ohtani. That goes into account, and it's supposed to make the money to get there. So it is a little bit more complex than I think some people may realize. But it is it for me is so that I'm intrigued. But I think they're going to be fine. If that's how it works, if that's my understanding, then they've already put all the money away. They're putting the money away each year that they need for that, and they're still able to keep spending. So I don't think there's necessarily going to be this well, just wait. They're going to have 10 years where they got all this money they're paying, and they're actually having to pay what it's going to take now.
Yeah.
They're just getting it at a discounted price.
And one point on Skubal is that it does work to their advantage to have money, even though this is a trade, is they have some more freedom to trade high prospects than a team that's going to rely totally on prospects, because they know they can find that talent with money. So maybe they can sweeten the pot more than a team could, who's not willing to give up with its top prospects as much, because they don't. Those people are going to figure into their future, where if the Dodgers really If they win the World Series with Tariq Skubal, they're like, well, we can go out and get whatever those people were going to get down the road. We wanted to win now. So they do have a bit of an advantage because of that, but not as much as I think some people would think.
Yeah.
I'm a little shocked that maybe we'll hear about it. Maybe, Milwaukee did put up a decent offer to get Skubal, but I'm more shocked a team like them didn't push to go all in.
I thought they could, and I don't
they
think
fell short to LA last year.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think what was given up for Skubal was something that couldn't be topped. But you've got to re-sign the guy. And so I think for the Brewers, I think people said they were kicking the tires, and I think they were probably there like, okay, we'll do it, but here's the rate. And my assumption is the Dodgers are like, just tell us what your best offer is, and then we'll beat it, right? And if the Dodgers can keep going, because anything, I tweeted the Ken Rosenthal article, which I thought was just lazy, to be honest with you, and I thought it was just, frankly, the usual protect my source stuff you hear. It's one of the reasons why I enjoy Jeff Passan so much, because Jeff Passan has real opinions, and they're not always just in line with what the agents think. Right, he no doubt has great relationships with the agents as well, but like the Ken Rosenthals and frankly the Adam Schefters, it's they just, the marching orders of the agents are what they put out there if they put anything out there. Ken Rosenthal's piece was like, everyone thinks that this is it. Oh, it's the end. The Dodgers, the Rays and Brewers have small payrolls and they're in it. Yeah, not every year. Yeah, they're in a run right now, but even the Rays had a couple of years step back where they had to reload it up. The Dodgers win that division every single year. Yeah. Well, but they don't win the World Series every year. Well, they're about to win 3 in a row. If they win it this year, it'll be 3 in a row. And that's where I do agree with Pete Fox, that will be a statement. They're like, okay, it's getting out of hand. Because the one thing that people like Ken Rosenthal, who I believe are just telling you what Scott Boras thinks, and because he needs Scott Boras to tell him when he signs something, he's going to write what Scott Boras wants out there. And they give just the parts that fulfill or not fulfill, support the idea of keeping the system the way it is. But let me give you the parts that aren't. First of all, yes, Milwaukee should be celebrated. They've been brilliant on their baseball decisions. And the Dodgers are so dangerous because they've been very good as well. But the difference when it comes to the Skubal thing is you would have had to have beaten the Dodgers offer. So they would have had to have given more. And the Brewers can't just go buy Kyle Tucker to fill for whatever spot. I mean, they have a board year over year that's like, well, this guy in our system, he's our starting outfielder here 2 years from now. So if we move him, we got to find one here. Yeah. And then our second choice is this guy who's also in our system, but we don't think he's as good. The Dodgers can just go, okay, we move the pieces that we need to slot in. We'll pay whatever it takes to fill that in. I mean, that's night and day. Yeah. It is night and day. The Brewers are where they are today, partially because they moved Josh Hader 2 years ago and got prospects, because they moved Freddie Peralta and got prospects. They keep shipping off talent, and which is a much more volatile thing to do, is to take back young players that have never played in the big leagues, but they're pretty good at it. They feel like they can identify them pretty well, and they feel like they can develop them pretty well. And so far right now, they've been feeding the beast, but they will crash and burn at some point. And I'm with you. I think the question has to be asked, should the Brewers go for it? And if you sit here in Kansas City, that's what we talked about earlier with the Johnny Cueto and Ben Zobrist deals. Everyone's like, they went for it and they won. They did. The Zobrist deal was great. The Cueto deal was either that guy didn't give a flying crap unless it was the most important games of the year, and he came through against the Astros. He came through against he got rocked by the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
came through against the Astros and Mets, but he sucked in the regular season.
Yeah,
and
to the point where they're like, can this guy even pitch in the postseason? Like,
if baseball is just about the raw numbers, that was like just the randomness of, yes, green comes up on a roulette wheel. If your strategy is to bet green every time, let me tell you how broke you're going to go. But it does come in every now and then.
Yeah.
And Cueto seemed to come in, and maybe it's, he rises to the occasion, and the Royals knew that. That's why they got him. They didn't need him for the other games. Okay.
Well, there was no occasion for him to have risen to that point, because he had only pitched in one postseason game, and he got rocked by Pittsburgh, if I remember correctly, or the Giants. Somebody got him.
I mean,
with the Reds.
Yeah. I mean, he got by. I did Pittsburgh, and they were all chanting, Johnny
that's what it was.
Cueto.
Yeah, they were
Johnny
almost
Cueto.
booted
They
him
got
off
his
the mound.
head.
Yeah. So there was nothing that if you thought, well, this guy's track record says postseason ace. It says, 2-hitter in game 2 of the World Series or in the game 5 of the LCS or LDS. That was not in his profile.
By the way, I'm being shouted down about my Dodgers not signing longer deals with pitchers. Trevor Bauer, 3 years for $102 million. That to me fits my bill, so I won't put that. But these are their deals of late. Blake Snell, 5 for $182. I didn't realize it was 5. I thought it was only 3. They want 5 on Blake Snell. Good Lord. Shohei Ohtani, 10 for $700. He also hits
a lot of homers too.
But then Yamamoto, 12 for $325. I did breeze right by the 12 for $325 on Yamamoto. I stand corrected, good sir. Thank you for that. They have spent more on pitching, which just even further magnifies the point that they can just splash money around. And when it goes wrong, they just splash more money around.
Right.
They do a great job with their system. I do want to underscore that. But come on. Like acting like, oh no, they just want it more. Shut up. Shut up. And like Ken Rosenthal's piece mentioned the Padres. I'm like, and the Padres right now, we bring on
Ben Fletcher.
Ben Fletcher all the time from San Diego, and he's like, yeah, they got these horrible deals. Well, they didn't think they were horrible when they were going for it, because all anybody saw was where it was today. But right now, they hate the Xander Bogaerts deal. They hated the Eric Hosmer deal like 5 minutes after they made that. They hate, what's the other one? They hate the Manny Machado deal. And so right now you ask him, was it worth it? Well, when everybody was drunk, it seemed great. But now that everyone's in jail, not so much.
And they got almost no postseason success out of it.
Yeah, I mean,
they even played an LCS.
They've played a lot of meaningful baseball, but they're on the downslope of it. And they may be, by my terms, the worst team in baseball. Because I think that the arrow's pointing down and they got to get worse, probably a lot worse before they can get better.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Rays.
And Rosenthal points to look at the Padres, what they did. Yes, look at what they did and look at where they are now and look at where they will be. That's the point. The Dodgers will never be the Padres.
And look at the Brewers and Rays. What's the furthest they've been in this recent run? The World Series for the Rays
twice,
and it's true because they lost in 08 to Philly, and the Brewers in the LCS where they lost to the Dodgers, like the Rays in their last World Series lost to the Dodgers. Yes, they got there, but who beat them? The Dodgers. and that by the way, that 08 Philly team was not exactly homegrown talent. There were some names, Cliff Lee. There were some dudes that came from elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. So, look, every other sport is thriving with a salary cap. You've a luxury tax is just a diet salary cap. I mean, give them parameters to go over and just tighten it over the years. I mean, that's what I think we're headed towards. Maybe they won't call it a cap. They'll just make the tax even more prohibitive. Right now, that's the other thing is the Dodgers add payroll. They pay more into the luxury tax, which means more money to the Royals. So, okay. But the part that is, I think, frustrating for most of us, some people may hate the Dodgers that are just casual fans. I don't hate the Dodgers. This is the system and they're trying to win. I respect them immensely for what they're doing. But I do dislike the system and I really hate the shills. Okay, which is what I thought Ken Rosenthal's piece was. Just a shill piece for the agents. Like, there's no way you can tell me that everybody has just as good a chance to win. Okay? Because if they did, the Dodgers wouldn't spend the money because they're smart.
He and Joe Sheehan should get a podcast.
Yes, they should. We'll take a break. You're in the program. You're listening to the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. No new news to report. The Royals did make a minor deal with the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies had designated a reliever for assignment. The Royals swooped in and said, we'll take him. Thank you very much. They acquire right-handed pitcher Nolan Hoffman from the Phillies. They give up Manuel Colon.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Curtis, if you can work him into an end-of-the-hour question, I'll give you $10.
Wow. Sounds like a challenge thrown down there.
Probably not.
I don't see it happening.
I would doubt that I can.
We are now just minutes away from the trade deadline coming about. I don't want to say, I'll say disappointment. I'll go ahead and give the disappointment side of things, but
yeah,
not completely unexpected.
We'll see what if anything comes into the wire. Seems unlikely.
Sometimes it takes 15, 20 minutes, maybe more after the deadline comes about, but it does not seem like the Royals are going to move even John Schreiber. I would think that still has a decent chance to happen, but
yeah,
that would seem like the only one.
The only pitcher of any note that they moved was a guy who was on the 60-day deal.
Yeah, Chris Bubich to the Dodgers.
That's the only piece.
I keep refreshing the trade trackers.
Oh, yeah.
That are out there. But Bubich for Carlos Duran happened earlier. So the Dodgers taking a flyer. They give up a hard-throwing 25-year-old minor league reliever who can get strikeouts, but he also struggles with control. He's improved his control, but still needs to get better at it. And then, of course, the earlier deal where they traded Lane Thomas and Bailey Falter for Lucas Braun and Carter Holton. So they've added 3 forearms, and all of them at the highest level of the minor leagues. So it almost feels like it's Nate Pearson they acquired a little bit earlier. I mean, it almost feels like they're making deals just to get through the season.
Yeah.
And it's not that simple because
they are beat up.
The 3 young guys, they have 6 years of control if they prove good enough to be big league pitchers.
Yep.
But they got to prove good enough to be big league pitchers.
One other trade of note that just moved Diamondbacks acquiring Lars Nootbaar from the Cardinals.
Okay.
Doesn't say what for. I mean, I could really go for a Lars Nootbaar right now. So hungry.
I love a Lars Nootbaar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the golden creamy newt that I like so much. The newt is just the best part.
It's just such a great Lars Nootbaar. Hey, you're being kind of grumpy. I'd like a Lars Nootbaar. Oh, sure.
Tick, 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 tick.
Yes, yes.
I'm seeing nothing on the timeline except for jokes about the Dodgers. Apparently, they've signed relief pitcher Jesus H. Christ. They're in deep talks with the ghost of Babe Ruth.
Oh, man.
Good stuff. Actually, if you really want to just keep up on it, just keep refreshing Passan. Because he probably is.
Yeah.
If he didn't have it, he's got somebody who does. That's the one thing I do like about this is the guys, they do kind of give each other credit. It's like a boom, so-and-so had it first. So really, if you follow someone like Passan, you kind of get everything.
I do like the Brewers, looking at what the Brewers have done. Antonio Senzatella, like they love to go get those guys that had stuff and be like, okay, can we harness it or can we perfect it or can we give him another? They acquired Lance McCullers from the Astros, who's always been a guy who can get strikeouts but can't consistently command the baseball. Doesn't my fantasy team know it? Can't quit that guy. Can't quit that guy.
Get away from you, baby.
Lance McCullers has been the psycho hot chick that I have been willing to buy dinner for years. Years. In fact, this year, I finally did. I still got him on my team right now. I was going to dump him when I got Terry Skubal, but then stupid CBS Sports decided they'd change. Not available.
Nope. Sorry.
What?
We were just kidding. Our bad.
Ridiculous.
Well, is Chris Bubich going to enter your radar now?
Chris Bubich is already on my team. I'm stuck with a 2-year contract on him.
I thought this was an NL league.
I got an AL and an NL. Same 11 guys. We have an AL and an NL. The good news is, the best news is I can now cut him because he left leagues, and I was going to have to carry him for $11 next year because he was my transition, and transitions are 2-year deals and no cut. And so that is one thing, like chef's kiss. I can keep him in my National League if I want.
Strong.
But he still continues to count on my American League team this year. I can't drop him this year, but at the end of the year, bye-bye.
How does he count on you? So on your, if there is a trade to a National League team, and you have him on the American League team, you automatically get him on the National League
He
team?
remains on my team in the American League, and he is now available to be picked up in the National League. So, I'll go pick him up there, too. Okay. I'm on 2 teams.
How about, who's already automatically on your
It's complicated.
It seems complicated.
Next year, I will have the right to keep him on my National League team.
Sweet.
But for the rest of this year, he goes into the free agent pool.
I like that it's complicated. It makes me less likely to want to do it, but for the people who do it,
well, we weren't
it should
offering.
be complicated.
You haven't been offered.
Yeah, that wouldn't be.
Yeah. You don't have the
should be kind of complicated.
You don't have the attention span.
Or the interest. Which may be the same thing.
Now.
What were we talking about? All right, Tom Brady, 49 today. How many franchises had a winning record over Brady in the regular season? Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
Fourth quarter of the program begins right now as we finish strong here on a Monday. Still to come, the great Will Harris, college football handicapper extraordinaire.
Don't tell them we're wearing shorts.
A connoisseur of the deuce tray.
Bacon lover.
Loves bacon.
Doesn't drink out of straws.
Does not drink out of straws and does not wear short breeches because he's not a child.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, someone sent something to us earlier today. Someone named Chad Collier.
Okay.
Perhaps he's an officer.
Officer of the court
In the
or
Navy.
officer of the okay.
Not the Navy.
Or the Army.
Yeah,
There we go.
Wow, you screwed that one up big time. Talk about an ass kicking.
Yeah, duh.
You got an ass kicking coming your way.
He was an officer, though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, captain.
I thought so. Just making sure. He said, talking about, hey, in fact, here it is. Hope you boys have your long pants on today. Will Harris in the 5 o'clock hour. Can't wait.
That's right.
To which
That's
I
right.
said, I will wear long pants in January.
Yeah.
It's about when I start doing that.
All right, training camp had some scares with the injuries over the weekend. Wide receivers dropping like flies. People thinking that could be serious. Maybe it's not as serious. Andy Reid gave us an update on those injuries.
The guys that didn't practice today were Cyrus. Ended up being a bone bruise on his shin area there, so it'll be a day or two here. And then Gelati has a hamstring strain. Xavier has a shoulder sprain. Again, it'll be a few days for that, and we'll just see how that goes.
And you said a day or two for Cyrus before you think maybe he'll be.
Yeah, just they got to get the swelling out of there. So how many ever days it takes to get the swelling out?
Okay.
Matt Derrick talked in our 3 o'clock hour. If you missed it, you can catch it at 810WHB.com on the 810 app in the podcast section. He talked about the fact that a bone bruise usually would take much longer.
Yeah.
Right? Is it a contusion? But he said kind of day or two, and then he's like, well, however long it takes to get it out there. So is that him? He gave the real injury but didn't give the real timeline? Or he gave the real timeline and misspoke and gave the wrong injury?
My guess would be B.
Well, my guess would be either.
Yeah, but I think
Minister of Confusion.
Could be.
I don't think you want. I mean, are we already playing games for the Broncos?
Yeah, that's why I don't. And that's why I think at this point, if it was in October, I might think it was A or B. I think it was B. I think he's going to be back in a few days, and he said a bone bruise on his shin, probably just a shin contusion. My guess is he's right on the time, not right on the description of the injury.
People excited about Cyrus Allen competing at the wide receiver spot. Right tackle has a battle as well. It seems to be Jalen Moore against Khalil Benson. Reed was asked how he'll handle that position.
I think you let him compete and just see where it goes. Both of them can play, I think. So we just have a young guy that we haven't seen do much, but he's got some talent. So let's see where that goes, and Moore keeps battling, and he's had a couple good days too. So we'll need all of them. That's how it goes.
With battles like that, especially with the young guy, you're going to see them make mistakes. Is one of your key clues just how quickly they can bounce back from that?
Yeah, so not to make the same mistake twice, right? That's what I'm looking for. We'll give you the chance here to learn, but you start making it consistently, then we got a problem. So, but he's been doing a good job, and there's a hiccup here or there, but he fixes them normally. So,
Boy, McDowell just peppering everyone with questions,
pummeling almost,
pummeling. Don't pummel me.
Well, here's one where Andy did get a little testy, talking about them running more plays under center. Reed was asked about the number of under center plays they've run so far.
Yeah, we've always mixed it. I think that's a healthy thing, So, I mean, there's no reason why or what, but other than we have some good stuff out of that, and we want to try to use it. Nate, you want to know if it has some more runs and play action and naked. Well, no, I mean, listen, we're going to mix. So that's what we're going to do. We're not going to change that part.
Well, every team mixes. No team just does all one or the other, does it not? I think a mix is healthy.
This is the one I wonder, is he not wanting to tip off like, hey, we're going to run at a higher rate, or we are going to have, we were under center for 15% of the plays and we're going to be under center for 45 now. I mean, I don't know where he's at, but I think he's grown tired of that question.
Yeah.
But
probably so.
I think it's a relevant question. I think it's a very relevant question.
9. We'll just say, let's go 9 then 7.
All right.
I was kind of trying to give you hand signals, but I'm like, nobody cares.
Well, when you held up one number, I was going to go to. Then when you held up 2,
9 then 7.
Okay. Yeah.
9 first.
I'm not a lip reader.
True. That's why I held numbers. And then I call for this. I call for the hit and run.
Speaking of that running game,
Mm-hmm.
the bite that goes perfectly next is number 9 on our cut sheet. That's Trey Smith, one of the big boys they're expecting to knock some people off the ball. Trey Smith thinks they can get more out of their power run game.
Yeah, I think we can definitely be more effective, like you said, in that how we're running the ball, man, wanting to get after people, reduce them physically. I think really just I always quote it, and I think Steve Hutchinson said it at like a symposium one time, but, making the defensive line and defense like earn the right to rush the passer. You keep them honest, man. If they're just able to pin their ears back and, hell, they know you're going to throw it every time, it makes it a tremendously tough job. And really, it's a hard duty as an old lineman when you know that they know what's coming next. And, when you have that run game, you're able to now the offense is running all cylinders. That's what we've always wanted to do. That's what we've always aspired to do. So for us, man, it's just about us doing our job, one person at a time, one play at a time. And as a whole unit, we'll have success. And that's just how you have to look at it.
Quote's a good source there, Hall of Famer, Steve Hutchinson.
I think, listen, you want to be a little bit more balanced. I think you need to protect Pat better, and part of the way would be to have the defensive line have to check themselves on the way to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they definitely want to run the ball, and I think that's as much why they signed Kenneth Walker. It's not just wanting to run the ball, but to make it easier for Pat and to make it easier for them to block for Pat.
Yep. I've already seen a couple of plays. You just kind of see the little go up to the line. Oop, let me stop. Let me circle back around and get out to the outside. I'm like, that didn't happen last year.
Yeah. Let's hear from Trey Smith when it comes to Peter Woods, the second of the 2 first-round picks. Smith likes what he's seen from the rookie so far.
Peter's really talented, man. Sky's the limit for him in terms of his hand utilization, speed, power. He's really sort of a full package type guy, and he's young and he's figuring out the game, but he has a willingness to learn. And I really, really enjoyed the way he's stepped into this program, this organization, and how he's trying to turn himself into a great player. But definitely has an outstanding future ahead of him. Just really excited to help him in his development where I can.
That'd be a nice development.
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to be. I mean, the guy was a first-round pick. The fact that he wasn't the top pick, still, he's
Sam
got to be a player.
Tweeted earlier today, and Matt Derrick stated it here in the program in the 3 o'clock hour. This is a big day for Peter Woods. Everybody seemed to think he was having a really good day. A lot of one-on-one drills, and he was really a handful. Matt Derrick pointed out beating Hunter Norzad pretty bad on a play, and Hunter Norzad's not a starter on this team, but he's been on the team for several years.
Mm-hmm.
His PFF grade when he does get into games, the throwaway games, whenever they are, has been pretty good. So I'm kind of inclined to think that that's at least, that's an NFL caliber lineman that he's beaten up on. So, that's good to hear because they need to be better on that defensive line. Speaking of the D-line, George Karlaftis, he's got to go up against Josh Simmons in camp. He's had a lot of praise for Simmons.
Josh is a great player. Obviously had a great season last year. So that was out a few games and stuff like that. But, he's a great player. Obviously he's strong as an ox and he's got feet like a ballerina. So, he's very good and very talented. We've had our battles and, we've talked, and iron sharpens iron, So this is what this period is for, is for getting better, trying to go a little more on that side, to take my game to the next level. And, just talking, just not just him and I, but, really all the O-line and the D-line, I'm sure the other positions are doing that too, talking and figuring out, okay, maybe I'm seeing this, maybe I'm seeing that, and just, ultimately trying to get better in every way we can. That's what this period's about.
Do you know?
What? I was just like...
You did not hear, every single time he said it?
Yeah. I was thinking like something else, something more substantive. No, some guys have that
crutch.
thing. Yep, have that thing. But some wordplay there. See, he's strong as an ox, got feet like a ballerina, and iron sharpens iron.
I think there were 3 through that course.
Was he
strong as an ox? Feet like a ballerina. Iron sharpens iron.
You know who does that a lot? Todd Leabo. You notice. You know what I mean? Todd says, you know what I mean, when he's making a point. You know, you should do so-and-so.
Boy, there's a shot
Know
at
what I
Todd.
mean?
Todd catching strays here out of nowhere.
We all have them. I
don't.
I have
not
probably,
a one. You can't find anything on my.
I have probably a
got nothing.
boatload of those, but I'm just noticing Todd's like,
you still,
what
even
you gotta
though
do with so-and-so. You know what I mean?
Even though Doug pointed it out like 16 years ago, you start every end of the hour with "all right."
All right. Yep. True story.
George Karlaftis continued about the young pass rushers, asked how he helps the rookies.
After these practices, they'll all go straight to the iPads, watch the tape. They'll come up to me, they'll come up to Chris, like, okay, hey, what do you think about this rep? What do you think I could do better? And, those guys they're hungry. They're hungry for knowledge, hungry to get better. We've developed a routine after practice with Coach Braden of doing these hands, to really, and then doing them every single day so we can stack and really doing stuff that we can apply to our games. So doing that on the field, coupled with all the conversations we'll have in the meeting rooms, outside of the meetings and stuff like that. All those guys are just so hungry and they want to get better and they want to be great and they love ball. So love having those guys around. They're all great additions.
Like hearing that.
Yep.
Like hearing that.
Yeah, that's twice I've heard about somebody else used the full that they really love playing football and love ball, and so it seems to be important.
Yeah, they love film. They love looking at things. They're taking to coaching.
Hungry.
That's good to hear. Karlaftis says the D-line has to lead the charge this year.
We feel like it starts with our group. It starts up front. And on defense, we can take this defense wherever we want as a front. Stopping the run, helping the guys at the back. So really starting with us and really putting the focus on handling everything we need to make it easier on the linebackers, easier on the DBs, so we can have the best season possible. We want to get back to the promised land. We want to get back to getting all those sacks. We want to stop the run as well as we can, and we're motivated as ever.
Damn, no, that's all I heard.
I counted 4.
Yeah, it was 5. It was 5. I think there were 4 early and then 1 at the end. I might have just seemed like it was 4 at the beginning, but damn it! Now I'm not going to be able to not hear that. That's all I'm going to hear.
All right, how about Chamari Connor and where he's going to play? A lot of people were kind of optimistic that they were going to take him out of the slot, use him at safety. He was asked about playing safety.
I'm very comfortable playing safety. It's exciting to, be in one spot. I'm always ready to do whatever the teams need, but, I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for this season.
He's got the, maybe that's a
no doubt about that
squad thing.
Could be,
So, see how that plays out. Got that going for us right now. Which is good news.
It is good news.
That's good news for sure.
True story.
Yeah. The Major League Baseball trade deadline is coming down. Royals have made a couple of moves today. They trade Chris Bubich to the Dodgers for right-hand pitcher Carlos Duran, 25-year-old, 6'7" flamethrower, 97 miles per hour on the fastball. I don't even know if that's a flamethrower anymore today. 3.38 ERA in 37 games for AAA Oklahoma City. They also traded pitcher Manuel Colon to the Phillies for Nolan Hoffman. Hoffman has a 3.86 ERA in 3 relief appearances with the Phillies this season. He spent most of the year at AAA, where he was 1-4 with a 4.72. He was actually put on waivers. The Royals make the deal for Manuel Colon to bring him in. And we're now 15 minutes past the deadline, and to this point, nothing else has been said. J.J. Picola will talk to the media. We'll play it back later on and tomorrow in depth, but he's going to talk to the media a little bit later.
There is one that might not be on your list. Jeff Passan reporting Padres with a buzzer beater, acquiring right-hander Casey Mize from the Tigers.
Okay. Tigers moving a lot of things out.
Yep. What it was.
We had 2 former number 1 picks traded today, Rushman and Mize.
Yeah.
Wow.
Adley Rushman, the Red Sox acquired the 3-time All-Star catcher from the Orioles, right-hand pitching prospect Anthony Ianson, as well as veteran catcher Carlos Navarez, and a pair of lesser prospects for the Orioles. So the Orioles eject on Adley Rushman. Remember when they would tell us that, no, it's okay that they took Rushman over Bobby Witt because they wouldn't have taken Gunnar Henderson if they had taken Bobby Witt? Well, then you're dumb. because shortstops can play anywhere, pretty much.
Yeah.
You blew it, Baltimore.
Yeah.
You blew it.
Someone showed the picture of, which I thought was kind of a neat moment when Rutschman came out for his first game in Baltimore, and he kind of stepped behind the plate and turned around. He did the 360 and just looked at the crowd and, like, wow, here it is. It's here. 4 years later, he's gone.
Yeah. Go figure.
Looking around somebody else's ballpark.
Padres finalizing a deal to acquire Robbie Ray from the Giants. Let's see. The Angels traded Joe Adell to the Guardians. They got back a catching prospect. Mariners acquired outfielder Taylor Ward from the Orioles. Well, the Orioles ejecting everywhere. Phillies acquired Luis Arraez from the Giants. The Blue Jays acquired right-hand pitcher Jose Soriano from the Angels for a package of prospect. And what's the other biggest ones? Dustin May and JoJo Romero going to the Brewers from the Cardinals. Braxton Garrett to the Cubs. Ryan Zephyr-John, reliever, to the Cubs.
There's an old friend alert toward the bottom.
Oh, and the Guardians acquire left-hand pitcher Foster Griffin, my $1 gem. Now, I've got too many keepers in the American League. Now he goes over to my American League team. I needed him on my National League team.
See?
Got him for $1. It's been pretty good for $1.
Dang it.
Former Royals first-round pick. Guardians get him from the Nationals. We get with our man Will Harris talking some college football next here in the program.
The program with Soren Petro.
By the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I don't know about you, but when it comes to my house, I only want to deal with the best. That's why when it comes to our plumbing, I only deal with the Plumbing Pro. That's right, the Plumbing Pro. They are absolutely fantastic to work with. It starts with their great customer service, and then it gets with their technician that was there. Just about a week or so ago, we had a toilet that wouldn't stop running. Listen, when we redid our house, I didn't realize basically every piece of plumbing we've had in there we've had to replace. It was finally time, I guess, to make some changes to the upstairs bathroom. But we know who to call now. The Plumbing Pro was out the next day, and they had it fixed in 30 minutes. You heard me right? 30 minutes. They've been serving Kansas City since 1980, and they're still locally owned and operated. They live here. They work here. Coach Steve, he coaches football, high school football here. Since 1980, they've been solving plumbing problems, no matter how big. I'm talking about the ones that need backhoes and digging equipment and that kind of stuff. Yep, they got those. Maybe it's just that your hot water's not hot. Maybe your washer won't drain. Maybe your shower won't drain. Whatever it might be. Sewer, septic, drain installation, and repair. The guys at the Plumbing Pro are Kansas City's best. And they can do some things like I mentioned, that main line coming into your house. They can do underground sewer or water lines. They can replace them with their low-impact pipe bursting. Sometimes you got to dig it out. But a lot of times, they can save you a lot of money. See, digging out your sidewalk, your driveway, all that landscaping, that's going to cost a lot of money to replace. The low-impact pipe bursting basically helps you save all those things by threading a new pipe through the old pipe. Then that clay pipe just kind of bursts around it, and you have a new state-of-the-art pipe, making sure that main line is clear coming to your house. They have all the latest technology at their hands. They're Kansas City's best when it comes to plumbing. The one to know is the Plumbing Pro. So don't mess around. Call the experts. Call 816-763-8200, or just put that number in your phone. Don't have any plumbing problems right now? Fine. That's great news. But you will one day. Put in the Plumbing Pro and put in 816-763-8200. And remember the website, theplumbingpro.com. Remember the, right? That's the website, theplumbingpro.com.
Men, if your energy is down, your workouts aren't producing results, you're gaining stubborn weight, losing muscle, sleeping poorly, or just not feeling like yourself anymore, it may be more than just aging. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. Our low T and body composition treatments are designed to help men regain energy, improve focus, sleep better, build lean muscle, reduce unwanted fat, and restore confidence both in and out of the gym. At Heartland Men's Health, we specialize in helping men optimize their health, performance, and vitality. Using personalized medical treatments tailored to your health and goals, many men begin noticing
He's a bit of a mystery. No one knows what he looks like. No one knows exactly what he does. No one that we know has ever met him. But we do know he loves Dr. Pepper, Deuce Tray, almost as much as he loves Alabama. He's college football handicapper Will Harris, only on the program.
Yes, indeed. We'll keep you up to date if any kind of last-minute Royals trade gets added to the mix, but we're at a point now that I think if it had happened right before the deadline, it would have been announced. So it looks like a fairly quiet day for your Kansas City Royals college football. We are in the month that college football will begin, so no better person to talk to than college football handicapper Will Harris. He joins us here in the program right now. Will, how are you, my friend?
Doing great, Seren. How's it going out there in Big 8 country?
It's doing great. We're excited for football season. I'm curious, where are you on your preparation for the season? Are your children prepped and ready to go?
Well, they're never prepped and ready to go at this point. You know, the team is built throughout the off season in all its phases: winter conditioning, spring practice, and summer workouts. But the most important part is fall camp. That's where your team is really forged. So most of these teams are, still coming together, still finding their personality, still finding their identity on both sides of the ball and as a team. So this is the month where all the magic happens.
The expectation for your Crimson Tide is as low as it's been in a long time. Picked 6th in the media poll. At least I know you've got a lot more work to do, but is that an accurate portrayal of where Alabama is right now and compared to the rest of the SEC?
Oh, I think so. Media 6, the win total's 8.5, maybe shaded to the over a little bit. That's not unfair. My views on the Tide are the exact same as they were a few years ago when DeBoer was hired. Nothing I told you then has changed. It's still not working for the same reasons that it will not work. And great coach, bad fit, bad AD. That combination is not going to get you there.
Wow. Okay. What are they missing? Like, what is it that they don't get?
Oh, well, I mean, primarily it's the, sort of quarterback-driven offense rather than line of scrimmage-driven offense. It was entirely predictable that this team would not be able to run the ball, and you can't just wake up and decide to make that change if it's not baked into your DNA, your team culture. And when you don't see that in practice every day, then your defense is never going to be a great run-stopping defense. And that's not the recipe in the SEC, that's for sure.
Is there a coach that's out there that you think would be a great fit to marry up with the culture of Alabama?
Honestly, I've always been a big DeBoer fan. I think he's a great coach, just a poor fit at Alabama, West Coast guy with a different style. And when he was hired, most of the names being bandied about were, also not preferable. And so I don't know that there's, one, now that the window is closed on Bob Stoops, of course, I don't know that there's a single coach that is exactly the best fit. But the one we have now certainly is not.
Georgia was picked at the top of the SEC. Is that the right place for them?
As they should be. I think so. It may be that your fellow AP voters actually hold Texas in higher regard while the SEC writers pick Georgia. But yeah, they're the favorite. They're the top program right now. And, I think I've given you the correct national champion in the preseason 5 years in a row until last year when, of course, I did not predict that. But Georgia would be my selection at this point this year, too, I think.
Okay. And who did you have last year? I forgot.
I probably told you it was Georgia last year. I don't remember.
Okay. But you didn't have.
It was definitely not Indiana. I thought that they would be good again, but I did not think that they would win the national championship. Safe to say.
Did they just? Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say get lucky, but do you think that they, that there was just a little bit of luck involved, or what was it you missed on how strong they ended up being?
Oh, I think you always get some breaks when you go undefeated, but by no means would I suggest that we chalk up their championship to luck. That would be way disrespectful. I mean, I think that with them, the power of the large number of not just players, but starters and major contributors that came with Cignetti from James Madison, they had somewhere in the teens of those players. And then last year, they had still, 11, 12, 13 of them guiding the ship. And so you've had, this year there's only one left. There's, when you have those people coming with you to sort of, help you install a new culture somewhere, that's a great benefit. And then not only experienced players, but experienced players that have played together for multiple years. And then, of course, you add the quarterback, and I did not realize that he was or could be that good. Fernando Mendoza exceeded, I think, everybody's expectations, but certainly mine.
Yeah, no, he was sensational, and that was a big part of it. Do you feel that the power in college football has shifted from the SEC to the Big Ten?
Not really. I don't think it was ever really with the SEC. I think the daylight between those two is very, very narrow, and in a given year, it's about the same. Big Ten's won the last 3 championships, so they're crowing about being on top, just as the SEC was when they had won a few championships in a row. But it's really kind of two peas in the pod, and we're splitting hairs. And I would further say that the daylight between those two leagues and the other leagues is not necessarily as great, especially in a given game, as media might make it out to be.
Oh, interesting. So you think, like, where? As far as, like, just the top team, or as far as, like Texas Tech could play with them, or you think K-State could go play with the Big Ten and the SEC's teams?
Well, K-State could absolutely play with most of the Big Ten and SEC's teams, and possibly, not with the very top ones. But I think that, top to bottom, there's not that vast a difference. It's certainly not. The gap between the Big Ten and the SEC is growing financially, but right now that gap is smaller between those two in the ACC and the Big 12 than the gap is in turn between the ACC and Big 12 and the best of the Group of 6 leagues.
Is the gap growing between the Big Ten and the SEC? I mean, I've pointed out, and not because endowments are used to pay for players, but when you look at the endowments of these schools, it does give you the idea, a feel for how much money is behind the school as a whole, how big their alumni are, how much money they're willing to give. And the endowments of Big Ten schools are significantly higher than the endowments as a whole, than the endowments. Now, not Texas or Texas A&M. They're giant. In fact, I think they're 3rd and 4th between only Harvard and Yale. So they have that kind of money. But the Michigans and Ohio States and Indianas have a lot more than the LSUs and the Mississippis and the Mississippi States. Are the payrolls, is this where we're going to see the SEC butting their head? Is that the Big Ten can keep going up? I mean, if we look at, I think the last 3 years, we've gone from what the reports are, $16 million for a payroll to $30 million to now this year we're talking about $50 million. Like, if we make another jump to 70 or 75 million and then a jump to 100, 110 million, like, when does the SEC go, okay, we can't do this?
Oh, never. And it's not about the endowments. I mean, ideally, universities would not raid their endowments for this purpose or any other purpose. But what it comes in, and I agree with you that looking at the school's endowment is sort of a general broad stroke heuristic for, hey, how well heeled are they? But at the same time, it doesn't really come down to that. It's not about the endowments. It's about how many people care and how much do they care. And that's what it's always been about. And the care factor in the SEC remains strong to the point where you can pass the plate among the citizenry and get what you need in a way that you can't at schools with lower care factor. So I don't think anybody in those two leagues is going to run out of money anytime soon. We're just going to see the arms race accelerate, and that's when you'll see that gap start to grow. Because a school like Arizona State, say, can only accelerate that arms race so far. They're not going to be able to gain ground on the Ohio States and the Bamas of the world.
Do you think Texas is ready? You mentioned where the AP voters might have them. Do you think that they are truly the number 2 team? Because there was a lot of hype around them last year, and they didn't deliver.
Right, there was. They're better equipped this year, for sure. Certainly, the quarterback, Arch, acquitted himself pretty well down the stretch. He got better as the season went on. And, that was sort of a ridiculous amount of expectation and pressure to be placed on him at the beginning of last season. He handled it reasonably well. They're better off for it. They've got a good cast around him, good team, but they have lots of players coming from elsewhere, and they'll really need to make sure that they forge their portfolio of intangibles correctly in camp if they want to contend. That remains to be seen.
Forge their portfolio, and tell me what that means.
Well, a team's portfolio of intangibles is, who are they? What are their characteristics? What are their personalities? Do they have guys that love football? Do they have guys that love each other? Are they hard workers? Are they selfless? Like, 100 qualities you can think of that a good team has. How many boxes do they check and how hard do they check those boxes? And that's an ever-evolving thing. Do they just have leadership from, 2 or 3 alphas on each side of the ball? Or do they have great horizontal leadership where there's a second tier of leaders and there's a key leader at every position group helping the position coach guide the room? Are there 30 guys that they could elect to the leadership council, or are they struggling to find 8 that are mature enough and ready enough and so forth? All of those things, get put in a pot and stirred up and, comes out of it with what is your team's, intangible identity. And that's so critical.
One more, Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin. They keep it rolling, or is it a nosedive?
They will in week 3. I can assure you that. The only thing that will keep me from that is if LSU, who could very easily start 1-3, becomes a team that, no one wants to be part of, and the, entire world is on Ole Miss in week 3. That could change the dynamic of that game if LSU could go in there feeling very disrespected. But right now you've got Ole Miss, barely a field goal favorite. And I cannot see any scenario where LSU gets out of Oxford alive. That will be a massive game for, the Ole Miss program and so forth. And back to that portfolio of intangibles, what you want is you want players who are playing for something bigger than themselves. And the thing that's bigger than themselves that you can always motivate them to play for is the team. Play for the team, not yourself. But when there's something bigger than the team, like the whole program or the whole university or the whole fan base or, something really large is on the line, and it's even more powerful. And I think that's, this is a program game when LSU comes to Ole Miss. I mean, it's must win for Ole Miss. Crowd will be in a frenzy. It'll be a very, very difficult game for LSU to go in there and win, especially since they are very much still coming together. And they've got a lot of good pieces, but that hasn't made a workable whole yet. I would not be surprised to see them start 1-3.
Is Kiffin a good, culture fit there at LSU?
I don't really think so. I don't think this is going to, succeed by any reasonable definition.
Why?
Well, I mean, you can probably go back to maybe, 12, 15 years ago when we talked. I told you that one of the problems with this guy is he cannot command the room the way that the top coaches can. And it's, the forging of that portfolio is, kind of dicey with him. And when he has a year where he's got the right players take charge and he can have a player-led and player-run team, he'll be very successful. But he won't be able to build the culture where that's the case every year. And as you saw at Ole Miss with some up and down seasons, despite a good tenure, that's not always how it works. And so I'm just not very optimistic that, especially given the expectations. I mean, everybody knows that, we've had 3 coaches at LSU win the national championship just in, the last decade or so, to, this century. And now they have probably the highest payroll and most resources of anybody. So, it's kind of championship or bust there. And, going 9-3 is not gonna get it done.
Yeah, no, they want more than that. That's for sure. Is the spending? I mean, Lane Kiffin said that, basically he said he's got more for the roster at LSU. Is it that simple as to why he left? Obviously, the giant paycheck as well. But, I mean, as far as the two teams, do you agree that he's got a lot more to spend on roster at LSU than he had at Ole Miss?
Oh, absolutely. LSU is better resourced. LSU has higher care factors throughout their populace, and fan base, as I mentioned. But, I'm not sure what happened to the days of I'm going to forge a career by serving this organization loyally rather than, I must jump to the organization that gives me a better chance at, achieving this particular trophy or what have you. It's just, he was in a place where he liked them and they liked him and everything was cool. And it's just in his nature. He can't let it be,
Yeah, that's interesting. We're talking right now with Will Harris, college football handicapper. Mizzou picked 10th by the Riders. Do you think that's about where they belong?
I don't know. I'm, I guess, more optimistic about Missouri than that. They're not a team that I'm looking to be involved in right out of the gate to start the season. Normally there are somewhere 20 to 30 teams where, going into the season, I know, hey, this is where the money's going to come from. This is where combination of expectations are off from reality, plus my knowledge is deepest, plus the things that are happening there are the most known and most stable. And, you know, you got a new quarterback and all that. That's not necessarily the recipe. You know, I think they're mid-50s with new players and so forth. But they do have a lot of things going for them. I mean, the offseason didn't start out great. I mean, when you have your best player shot, that's not good for sure. And then, you know, here comes Chip Lindsey. And, you know, I mean, Missouri fans are to be forgiven if they thought that was going to be, you know, oh, God, here's one of those Grim Reaper hires. You know, here's an OC that rides from school to school, you know, harvesting offensive souls wherever he goes. And so that would have been cause for panic maybe. But he has worked with Drink so much before. They are so close. They've got Garrett Riley coming in, who is, you know, off of a, you know, very humbling time at Clemson where he got let go. And then, I mean, you throw Jacob Peeler in there, they've got 4 guys who called plays on offense. I think the O-line and the backs are probably their best positions. I really like the way Ahmad Hardy stayed engaged with the team when he was, you know, got out of the hospital and was still recovering. I like the way the team rallied around him. And, you know, anybody else with Chip Lindsey would probably have a less potent Chip Lindsey than Drinkwitz does with Chip Lindsey, because they have worked very well together in the past. So you throw all that together, you got 5 SEC home games, which is a big deal. And then you've got a defense that looks like on the surface it doesn't have a lot of starters returning or starting performance, but all those guys have played a lot of ball. Another year in Corey Batoon's system. I think there's, you know, optimism about the defense there. I mean, really the only thing they need to forge is the quarterback. And in Austin Simmons, I think they have a guy that has, you know, arm talent and natural gifts, the likes of which Missouri has not seen in a long time. So his ceiling is very high. And then in Zollers, I think they have a guy that kind of sets the floor for them. So we'll have to see how that develops. We'll have to see how that develops and goes as they build, you know, leadership and confidence, and, you know, the quarterbacks build their own intangibles to transfer onto the team. I'm not sure that's anywhere near fully forged. And I'm a little bit worried about, you know, how much of Drinkwitz's attention is going to be required to make this new offensive brain trust come together and do the thing before he can step away from it and, you know, go back to coaching the team as a whole. And so that's an issue. And then I guess I'm a little bit worried about where the pass rush is going to come from. I mean, this is a team that's been, mid-30s, pushing 40 sacks the last several years in the SEC, had a very consistent pass rush, has been churning out pass rushers into the NFL. And, you know, I'm not sure, you know, we got to get help for Darius Smith there for me to feel good about that.
6.5 wins. You higher or lower? You going over or under?
Yeah, 6.5 with the over shaded everywhere, I would say. And a couple of things on those win totals. You know, you say 6.5 wins, but that's, you know, you could probably find that 6.5 minus 140 all the way to 6.5 minus 110. So definitely need to shop for that. And then also there are alternates there. Over 6, laying 175 would be, you know, another option. And the other thing I'd say about those is that they move very sharply and quickly, and the limits are very low. So the bookmakers are very sensitive about those because they know they're vulnerable. So I think 6.5 is fair given the difficulty of the schedule, but the 5 home games helps. And, you know, I would be inclined to go over that. I think this is, you know, still a program that is, you know, very much succeeding at the moment. And, you know, 10th sounds a little low. But
Okay.
tough league, as you know.
Yes. Will Harris is with us here in the program. Let's switch to the Big 12. Do you agree that Texas Tech should be an overwhelming favorite?
You know, they're one of the few conference favorites that the bookmakers have as odds on. And to explain what that means to everybody, that means that is actually more likely than the sum of all of the other total outcomes. That's a phrase that is misused commonly by the media. They say odds on to mean anyone who is favored. But if Tiger Woods is the favorite in the golf tournament, he's 4-1, and everybody else is 10-1 to 100-1 to whatever, that does not mean he is odds on. You know, he is still very much not favored to win the golf tournament. And in this case, Texas Tech is actually like minus 120, 125, minus 130 to win the league. And, you know, that's a little bit steep to say, okay, yeah, they're just supposed to win the league. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, they look, I underestimated them last year for sure. And they do look pretty sporty, but we all know what happened with them with the quarterback situation this offseason. And, you know, that's a disruption they'll have to prove they can recover from.
It's a disruption, but how much worse are they with not having Sorsby?
Right. You just mean the loss of this guy on the field rather
Yes.
than, forget the disruption. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it depends on, how well they perform with what they have. But, Sorsby looked like a guy who maybe he was the best available in the portal, but not like a lock All-American superstar first-round pick, can't miss sort of thing. So I don't think that they're going from, oh, my God, we had Joe Namath to now we don't,
Yeah. Do you agree that BYU, they are the consensus number 2 team? Is that correct in your mind, the way you see it right now?
Yeah, they look pretty good too. I don't, again, these teams are still being forged, and so I don't really think in terms of ranking them the way that you guys do. That's not a super useful exercise for us. But yeah, they have built it with staying power up there, and they've got a lot back, including their quarterback. And that's not unfair that they're number 2. That's for sure.
What about K-State not having to play BYU, Texas Tech, and even Utah, who's the third favorite as far as the odds makers go right now? How much would that make K-State a sneaky play to maybe get some money down on? And I'm looking at one of the lines here at plus 1,500.
Yeah, I mean that's a positive. You don't play the 3 favorites in the league there. They miss Texas Tech, they miss Utah, they miss BYU, and also I'll add that both from the odds makers' point of view and from the media point of view, the 4th and 5th teams in the Big 12 pecking order are Arizona and Houston, and K-State catches both of those at home. So that's very favorable to miss the top 3 and get 4 and 5 at home. But also, counterbalancing that is the 5 road games. Now that we're in the era of 9-game conference schedules everywhere, unbalanced conference schedules, it's going to be a really big deal whether you have 4 home games or 5 home games in a given year. And, this year, Missouri has 5, but K-State only has 4.
Yeah, no, to me, I think the schedule's a reason to get on him. And if you really like Colin Klein as a head coaching candidate, I mean, he obviously knows the culture and the fit, but do you like him as a head coach?
I mean, I sometimes fear, Seren, that my judgment in thinking about Kansas State is clouded by my high regard for Colin Klein and my desire to see him succeed. I assume that everyone out there in Manhattan is with me in their excitement about having him back, reuniting him with Avery and so forth. I don't know if he'll succeed or not, but I know it was the right thing to do at the right time to give him a shot. And I would urge everybody to support him and be as patient with him as possible. Because when you hire a guy like this, you're not hiring him for what he's done and what you know he is. You're hiring him for what he will do and what you think he can become. And you have to give him a little time to learn on the job, and that's not as frequently done nowadays. But I would hope that he would have more rope there in Manhattan than most coaches. He's certainly earned it. And hey, while we're talking about K-State, if I could aside for a minute, Seren, one of the, I guess, dubious benefits to listening to 2,000 hours worth of coaching audio every year is that I also hear the beat writers and the people asking the questions in that same volume. And I've probably reasonably been accused of having sort of a dim view of that cohort in the past, but I do have my favorites. And one of my favorites is D. Scott Pritchett, K-State writer, go Power Cat. And he's going through a health thing right now that came on unexpectedly. And so, D. Scott, get well soon. Everybody misses you.
Absolutely. That's very kind of you to say, and we echo those sentiments there from you. We're talking to Will Harris here in the program. Should you expect a bounce back from Avery Johnson?
Oh, I would think so. I mean, he has got to be nothing but delighted to be reunited with Colin Klein. He's got a good running back room there to deal with. I do worry about their interior offensive line and their interior defensive line, that they will be able to pound the rock and stop it the way that they really want to. But yeah, for Colin Klein coming in, first head coaching job, whirlwind, back in Manhattan, here he is. Now he's the man in charge. It has got to be comforting to look over there and see, hey, not only do I have a returning quarterback, but I have a potential superstar returning quarterback. And not only that, I coached this guy 2 years ago. It's just a very comforting situation for the two of them.
Meanwhile, in Lawrence, they don't have Jalen Daniels back. That's not comforting, but they do have Kotelnicki back as the offensive coordinator. So how much does that strengthen Kansas?
They sure do, and I think it strengthens them a lot because this is another thing, sort of like Missouri's offensive brain trust situation. It could be a negative, but circumstances make it a positive. I mean, Jim Zembrowski has had to deal with a demotion essentially. Kotelnicki will call the plays, and this group has been together so long, and they are so egoless, and they love each other so much that the dynamic there between Kotelnicki and Zembrowski and Leipold, I think, is going to be just fine. And also, I think maybe a sort of understated part of it is that with Kotelnicki back to handle the offensive structure as a whole and the play calling, that lets Zembrowski spend more time with the quarterbacks than he has been able to while Kotelnicki was gone. And they need it now, with Ballard and Marshall being, competing for the job. I think it's a real benefit that he gets to, shuttle himself off to the quarterback room and not worry about the things that Kotelnicki is worrying about, and just concentrate on developing these two guys. And they've got some help too. This O-line and the running backs, I think they're as deep a group as they've had. And both these quarterbacks have been in the system, much like Avery and Klein. This is a sort of a case of reuniting the play caller with the quarterback, with Kotelnicki coming back. They're familiar with him. And so, I think it's a really good situation on offense. I think they'll be able to run the rock for sure.
All right, real quick, our final four. We'll move fairly quick here. You got a sleeper team for me.
A sleeper team for you.
A team that's going to be better than most people are thinking right now.
Does Penn State count? Because
yes.
People think they're going to be good, but they're going to be real good.
Okay.
Speaking of Indiana, bringing a bunch of players that can help install the culture at the new place, that's what Penn State looks like right now.
Okay.
Rocco Becht and a bunch of other guys from Iowa State.
All right. How long is Kalen DeBoer at Alabama?
Well, not long, hopefully. I mean, I don't really think that, the AD has doubled down here and given an extension, but ultimately, if the fans turn on him, which could happen fairly quickly as soon as, say, September, then, I don't think that he'll survive it. I would be very, very surprised if he were still there in 5 years. So.
Is Colin Klein at K-State for 10 years?
I hope so. Let's say yes.
Okay.
But again, I'm an optimist there. So
yes, you are, absolutely. And then finally, what was the last movie you saw at the theater? Did you rush right out Friday and catch Spider-Man? Were you at the Odyssey watching it in IMAX in person?
Movie, theater, Spider-Man, IMAX, I don't even know what you're talking about. Movie in the theater, I was probably 17 or something, man. I don't know.
Did you wear shorts?
Well, I do not wear shorts because I'm over the age of 9. It's one of those things, much like drinking out of a straw or, this sort of things that I just don't do because, that sort of thing. But, I probably didn't wear shorts.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Will, great talking college football with you. I hope to do it again real soon.
You got it, buddy. Roll Tide.
The program with Soren Petro.
I don't listen to radio.
Weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Listen, if you're in the market to buy an RV, if you need a new camper, there's only one place to go, Unlimited RV. Josh and his staff are absolutely fantastic. Whether you're dealing with Bill, the sales manager, Nate, the finance manager, maybe it's service after you bought it. You need some service done on your vehicle. Nick is unbelievable. They are the best around. That's why for 4 straight years they've been voted a top 50 RV dealer in the country, number 1 in Kansas City. Yes, they're number 1 in Kansas City and top 50 in the country. You cannot find a better place to go. Locally owned and operated, veteran-owned business, 2 locations, North Cobbler Road in Independence, 4400 North Cobbler Road, and 12 Hauser Road down at the lake. Listen, if you've been dreaming about getting out on the road and getting to wherever it is you want to go, wherever you want to go, then you need that RV. Whether you want some spectacular craft, I'm going to tell you what, I was looking at some of them. It would be the ultimate man cave right there. Beautiful RVs there. Maybe you just need something for getting out and supplementing your camping. They've got those as well. Every kind of RV, all the best and all the best prices as well. Plus lifetime warranty on all new campers and a lifetime warranty on used campers that are 2 years old or newer. 4.7 star rating on Google. That's over 900 reviews. They've got it at Unlimited RV. So what are you waiting for? Go to unlimitedrv.com. That's unlimitedrv.com today.
Steve here with Connolly Plumbing Solutions, your neighborhood plumber. We have our sump pump special going, $200 off a main pump, $400 off a battery backup system. Call Connolly at 913-768-7676 or visit ConnollyPlumbingSolutions.com.
Every visit is a new adventure at the Kansas City Zoo and Aquarium, home to nearly 10,000.
But first, a La Feta Delicatessen end of the hour answer. How many franchises had a winning record over birthday boy Tom Brady in the regular season?
Not many, maybe one.
One. Chiefs were 5-4.
Oh, wow. Good for the Chiefs.
Better than the Bills at 3-33.
The Royals did not sneak anything else in under the deadline. J.J. Piccolo was talking to the media. You were listening over the highlights?
He said with the core players that they have coming back and their need for starting pitching, they valued Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo quite a bit. Said those guys bring back prospects that were 3 or 4 years away. And that doesn't really meet their timeline. They very, very optimistic. Sam McDowell asked him, what's the optimism from 27 come from? He said it's the same as it was coming into this year, and that's why there's no teardown. Asked about John Schreiber and Starling Marte, guys who aren't coming back. He said that nothing got, there were some people who asked, but nothing got too deep. I don't know why that wouldn't be done. Said it was slower this year than it was the last couple of years. Said they asked about acquiring players who had multiple years of control, but those players they asked about were kept.
Well, Soriano wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, there were guys
maybe they weren't asking about him.
Huh.
It's possible.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't like him, didn't like the way he throws or what have you. But
only other note was that Carlos Duran could come right to KC, but they're still thinking about that. But Hoffman will definitely go to Omaha. The pitcher they got from the Phillies. But they didn't want to move Lugo and Wacha because they think their optimism going into next year is the same as it was coming into this year. And they don't want guys, they don't want prospects that are going to be 3 and 4 years away.
Okay.
That was the biggest takeaway.
All right. Well, we'll see where they end up, where they're going. I mean, they are setting themselves up for needing to be a competitive team next year. I will say that. That's definitely the way it feels right now. We'll talk about it